That's my man, Casa de Calaca, Big Phil, and the crew taking care of me. I'm Beto Duran. It's time for an edition of Living the Dream. And my goodness, what am I doing right now? I have no clue because I'm looking at my phone because I am going live on YouTube for the first time. Thanks for always supporting me on these new adventures. It's crazy time because we're quarantined. As you can see, the backdrop is completely different. And you see the logo. Joel Diaz, the trainer, joins us right now from Indio, California. The one and only Joel Diaz. Coach, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm just happy to be here and being part of your show. It's a great thing, and I think we're gonna talk a lot boxing or whatever you want to know, Beto.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it, Coach. And I know I'm using you as a guinea pig right now, and so bear with me. But people can leave comments right now on the YouTube Live. We'll get into the comments. Today's conversation is just a simple conversation between you and I, because I'm a big fan of yours, the person, and the conversation is going to be about you and how you got going. Everything's going on. Robert Flores checking in on YouTube right now. And Coach, behind me, before we get going, over my shoulder, this way right here, the shirt. Do you see it?
Yes, I do. Maldita Pobreza.
Maldita Pobreza. What is Maldita Pobreza? That is your logo. What's all that about?
Well, it just happened one day. I was just being sarcastic. I was having a good plate. I had a nice dinner, and it just came out. I mean, spontaneous. It just said, "Vamos a comer maldita pobreza," and everybody started laughing. And like, "What do you mean maldita pobreza?" Well, yeah, it's maldita pobreza. And then from there on, everybody just started saying, "Hey, maldita pobreza," and I started using it more often. Since I thought it was funny for the people that were around me that day. That since that moment on, I used it in every phrase. Like, I drive my car. Okay, I'm gonna drive my car. Maldita pobreza. And it became something that, honestly, I have a lot of fans in Argentina, and they always ask me for shirts. Coach, there's a guy from Argentina that, he's a big fan, and his name is they call him Peladito. Peladito is a friend of Lucas Matisse.
Okay.
He's always begging me to get him one of those. As a matter of fact, when he sends me a message, he don't call me by my name. He called me, "Hey, maldita pobreza, ¿cómo estás?" And it became something that everybody is like, they want a shirt, or they always bring it up, maldita pobreza. Even Ernesto Amador, he's a big fan as well. "Hey, maldita pobreza, no puedes jugar boxeo,"
Yeah.
And it became something that constantly people always bring it up.
That's pretty cool. And Sulem Urbina is checking in right now. She's on her channel. So Sulem Urbina, female fighter. And you can see when you're watching on YouTube, I can put your graphic on the page so you check things out. I'm learning how to do everything, Coach. It's a program. Because of the pandemic, I went and taught myself how to do this editing stuff. I don't know how to do it because, como soy tan bonito that all I ever have to do is just talk. But because I'm stuck in the garage, I learned it. I'm learning this editing system, and I'm learning how to go live with everything. And what I want to do is, this is going to be available for a podcast. So as soon as we're done with this, it'll be saved on YouTube, and then I'll put it up on the Living the Dream podcast page. So all kinds of stuff. And you know this, you got to adapt, because if you don't adapt, you get left behind. Take me back to your journey, Coach. You're a trainer now, but you've been fighting your entire life. As a boxer, how did you do?
Well, it's a long journey. We
got plenty of time, Coach.
I mean, we have nothing else to do, right? We just here at home, and this morning I did a conference call as well on boxing, and Eddie Reynoso was there, and they're like, "Oh, thank you for your time, Coach." I go, "Hey, don't worry about my time. I got all the time right now. We got plenty of time, to spare right now." And like you said, you have plenty of time to, play with your gadgets and start, doing what you're doing. And I'm happy you are, Beto, because you're good at what you do. I admire you for what you do. You speak well. This is you. This is what you do best. And I really like your job. I really like what you do. And for me, I just growing up as a kid, I never expected to be where I'm at. Thank God I'm blessed. at the same time, it was a long, long journey because my story is like one of those stories that a lot of people would like to hear. At one point I had somebody that wanted to do write a book, do a movie on my life. It was just a long, long journey because I never thought of being a boxer. Growing up, coming from Mexico at a really young age, didn't speak English. Started going to school, and uh, I discovered a boxing gym when I was 11 years old. As a matter of fact, I used to have a newspaper route. My hobby was fixing bikes. Going to I would go to yard sales and look for parts and fix my bike. A couple of friends of mine, and we discovered a boxing gym in Coachella on Sixth Street gym. It was an old fire station, and a lot of people that know that old fire station in Coachella on Sixth Street uh, remember that they remember that there was a lot of great fighters back in the day. That's where I started, and I went against all odds because my parents never wanted me to box. My dad, I appreciate everything my dad and my mom did for me, and I know why they did it. Now, as a parent, I understand. At that time, they were very protective. They didn't want me to be on the streets, or they basically thought I was out there, doing drugs or hanging out with gangs. So I would literally, sneak out the back door and go to the gym because I liked it, and it was just hard for me, being in the sport of boxing with without my parents' support, and from there on, I just fell in love with the sport and started bringing one of my brothers with me, and another one, and I would get in trouble for bringing my brothers, but sometimes they would cry, and I would bring them along with me. There's times in which I would get a spanking with a belt for taking my brothers without permission. But look, my brother Jesus, Shaggy, great fighter. Fought 16 pro fights. From there came Antonio. Antonio, as you see, he did a great career. And then it went Julio, and then Julio was the youngest, and two-time world champion. And I think we did great, but it was something that was not easy for all of us. We went through hell and back, and we experienced the sport of boxing. And recently, I mean, my son grew up in the sport, and I could have chosen that for him, but I said, no, we're gonna break that pattern. You're gonna go to college. You're gonna go to college and forget about the sport of boxing. You already had, most of your uncles, did it, and I just didn't want to go through the stress of having another family member go through it, because those who know the sport of boxing know how hard it is. Not only the physical part, the training part, but the politics of the sport itself. And I didn't want to put my son through it. So I just said, you know what? I know you love the sport. You know a lot about the sport, but I need you to go to school. And I'm very proud of my son. He's doing great things now. He is in the sport, but not doing the physical part. He's putting in a lot of his knowledge into something more useful.
Yeah, he's using his brain, working with Golden Boy. He went to UNLV. Great kid,
Yeah.
Joel Diaz Jr. He can still crack. But now you, as a boxer, what was your record as a pro?
There was a lot. I actually fought 28 fights. I fought 28 fights. I lost 3 fights when I retired. I fought I was 25-3, and I fought for a world title for the IBF, South Africa. Lost to Philip Holliday, decision, and came back and fought for a title eliminator for the WBC. At that time, I was supposed to fight, I think it was Johnson. Yeah, when I fought for the title eliminator, I won the fight. I win the fight, and that was my title eliminator. So when I was in South Africa going into that fight, I remember I was already having problems with my eye because I had issues to training camp and sparring. And the only person that knew that I had a problem with my eye was my brother Antonio, because he was my only sparring partner. I remember going through the fights with South Africa. My brother Antonio was the one that came along with me. He was my only sparring partner, and he knew, because he would tell me, "Hey, why are you getting hit with a left hook all the time? I can't see it." What do you mean you can't see it? I can't see it.
Wait,
So
you couldn't see?
no, I couldn't see. I couldn't see out of my right eye. And
This is during the camp. During the camp.
during the camp, and he goes, "You gotta tell somebody." How am I gonna tell anybody? So I fought in South Africa. Going into the fight against Philip Holiday, my right eye, my right eye was giving me problems. I couldn't see really well, but I didn't want to tell anybody. And then I get cut. I'm over my left eye during the fight, and I was bleeding. So there was a problem. I mean, my good eye, I had blood, medicine, water coming in my eye, and having problems with my bad eye. So, I mean, I went to the decision. I fought. I mean, South Africa has the altitude is really high, high elevation. I mean, I was a great boxer. I could move, use the ring really well. But in that moment, after the fifth, fourth round, I said, no, I'm gonna stay here with Philip Holiday. I can't move. If I move around, I'm gonna get tired, and it's not gonna go well. So I stood in there and I exchanged most of the fight with Philip Holiday. Lost the decision with a big old cut over my left eye when I had little vision on my right eye. So never said anything until came back to another camp, and my brother Antonio was always telling me, "You gotta tell somebody."
Wait, hold on. Let me cut you off there. You go to South Africa. You're already losing vision in the eye.
Right.
And instead of saying, "Hey, I can't see," let me tell a doctor, you take another fight?
Yes, I took another fight without telling anybody. And people, I mean, back then things were very different. They're not as strict as nowadays with your medicals. Back in the early 1990s, I mean, it was very different.
So you have a pulse, you can fight.
If you have a pulse and you're breathing, you're good. So, you can fight. So coming back from South Africa, I recovered, and due to the performance of my fight there, that puts me into a title eliminator for the WBC. So when I fought for the eliminator, I remember it was here at the Fantasy Springs Casino. Going in the fight in the fifth round, I got hurt. I remember I got hurt and recovered. And I won by knockout in the ninth round. But I still remember that by then I couldn't see really much out of my right eye. So then I finally said, I got to go see a doctor. I got to go see a doctor and see what he's going to tell me. I mean, it's probably something simple, maybe a cataract or whatever. So days later, I go see a doctor, and it was the saddest moment of my life, because going into the doctor's office and they do the checkups, and the doctor looks at me and tells me, "How long you been like this?" And I told him my story. I went to South Africa and I fought, and he says, he told me, "If you think you're brave, you're not." He says, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but that's being stupid. I said, "Well, I probably am." He says, "You're fighting with 50% vision with one eye. What if the other eye gets hurt, gets shut, swollen?" And I said, "I understand. I took a chance and I took a risk." He says, "Well, let me tell you something. This is what the news I'm going to give you right now. They're not too good for you. In the clock, if you look at a clock, your retina is detached from 1 o'clock all the way to 7 o'clock, which is almost everything."
What?
He says, I'm sorry to tell you, but you can no longer fight. I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, I don't believe you. I'm going to take it."
I don't believe you?
I told him, honestly, my reaction was, "I don't believe you. Why me? I'm doing well in the sport of boxing. I'm going to fight for a world title next. I'm going for the WBC." So from that moment on, I said, I'm going to go to another doctor and take a second opinion. Well, the second opinion was no different from the first. Same thing. So then from that moment on, my life was a wreck, honestly.
Coach, how old were you at that time, Coach?
23.
23, and they're telling you the only thing that you know, which is boxing, because you're fighting your way out of the immigrant lifestyle, working the campos. You mentioned the paper route. Your parents just want you out of the streets. You're doing something that most people in Coachella have never done, which is leave the area, leave the valley. And you're thinking, I got a long career as a boxer. You're 23, and boom, done. You said you're a wreck. What happened?
You know what really hurt me the most, honestly. What hurt me the most, Beto, that to me was this: my life was very different. Being the oldest of the family, the oldest of the siblings, I worked in everything you can imagine here in the Coachella Valley. I was 13 years old, 14, and I was working with my dad. My dad used to be in charge of irrigation for grapevines. So on the weekends, I will go with my dad and work Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. On holidays, I will work with my dad, and then when my dad and my mom would go, they would. I remember for a few entire summers, I will go and pick uh, spinach, parsley, cilantro, lettuce. I mean, you're talking about all day on your knees, And I picked grapes.
Mm-mm.
There was times in which, after the grape season was over, they would say, "Hey, we're gonna go to work picking raisins." And raisins is really hard because, I mean, they pay you like 20 cents a pound,
All
so
of
you
it's
have to be
hard,
like
coach. That's manual labor. No.
manual labor. So I did
I
all
will
that. So
mess up
okay,
my manicure. No.
I know, but we did all that. And as a matter of fact, there was a summer when my dad and two friends decided to go up north to Stockton. At that time, I was like 15 years old. And going over there to Stockton, waking up at 4 in the morning to meet the foreman of the field. So we're going to go. It was really hard. I picked tomatoes. I remember picking tomatoes is just you bend over and, just move the plant, pick the tomatoes in a bucket, and then back and forth. And then I would fill up a bucket and my dad would fill up another one. Then my dad would run because it was all they were paying us by the bucket. So my dad would dump the buckets and come back. By the time he came back, he wanted me to have another one full because it was just they were paying us by the bucket. So it was really hard. My back would hurt, and then if I put my elbows on my knees. My dad, no, hey, bend over, bend. So it was really hard growing up in that environment, working in really heavy labor work. So going back to why it bothered me, and I was a total wreck because as growing up as a kid, all I did was help my family. And the only thing, and I can tell you from the heart, was I wanted to do something in the sport of boxing to help my parents and get them out of that lifestyle, working labor, because I work with them. It was really hard work. So I've always looked forward to, hey, I'm going to make money and do something. As a matter of fact, there's times in which teachers in the local schools, they call me to go for career day. My first year, which is 3 years ago, I went to a school and talk about, my career. I mean, I'm a boxing trainer, and I go along with firefighters, highway patrolmen, and lawyers and stuff. There's times in which they leave and they keep me behind because they like to hear my story. And it's because, to me, I wonder how my parents live a better life. And when I was in high school, my last year of high school, I remember my English teacher telling me, "So what are you going to do when you graduate? You're going to college?" I said, "No." I said, "I'm a boxer." I used to be on the newspapers every week. As an amateur, I used to fight and compete and win. Most of the time I was winning. There was an article on the newspaper, and my first period class in high school, they would always show it. So everybody knew who I was. So going back to getting ready for everybody to go to college my senior year, I said, "I'm not going to go to college. What for? I'm going to be a boxer. I'm going to make a lot of money." I was doing really well. I was 18 years old when I decided to buy my mom a house.
Wow.
Because as an amateur, I was the number one in my division to represent the 92 Olympics in Barcelona, right? But didn't do it because I was not a U.S. citizen.
Oh.
Okay? So that really hit me hard on my dream. Well, okay, my dream is I can go to the Olympics. I remember in one of the tournaments, I was supposed to fight Oscar De La Hoya. And Oscar came in heavy. And he moved to 26, and I fought at 119. And we didn't meet. We were supposed to meet twice in two different tournaments. But, okay, I didn't go to the Olympics, stayed behind. They told me, "You want to go to Mexico and represent Mexico?" No, because it was starting all over. So I decided to turn pro. I was fighting professional at 18 years old while I'm still in high school. And I remember when I bought my parents their house, the house they still live in. And as a professional fighter, like I said, I wanted to help my family. Never thought about myself. That's the reason why it hurt me. It hurt me so much, Beto, to the fact that by the doctor telling me I couldn't fight no more, my life did a complete turn at like 108 degrees because it came back to me saying to myself, all I did was just trying to help my family. Why did this happen to me? The person that never thought about himself. I never thought about buying myself a nice car. I never thought about jewelry. I never thought about anything. I always thought my only thoughts were I want to help my parents. I bought them their house, and then I buy my mom a car, a used car. I buy my dad a car, a truck, and then after every fight, I remember going to fights and I would pray and say, God, please, everything goes well. I'm gonna buy my mom a living room set, and I would. I would go to a furniture store, not a high end one, but I would. And I would go buy my mom a living room set, dining room set, a bedroom set, and that's how I started doing it in my early fights. Just for my parents. And when that happened to me and I couldn't fight no more, everything kicked. Like, why me?
Yeah.
The person that never thought about me, never thought about doing something, out of the ordinary, but just to help my family. And that's what it kicked me. I just started going crazy. Started doing things I wasn't supposed to. Hanging around with not good people, working for people, doing not the right things. And it was like my life was like, if I kill somebody or they kill me, I don't care. Honestly, it was like
What?
I was living that lifestyle where I didn't care. I didn't care, honestly. I didn't care to kill. I didn't care to die. If I'm gonna be in jail, that's what I'm gonna do. But hey, I mean, my life is worthless anymore. If I'm not gonna box, because you know what, the only thing I knew how to do was box. I never played any other sports. When I was in middle school, I played soccer, and we made it to the championships, and we lost because somebody made a mistake, and that got me mad. It's like I want to play a sport that I want to win and I want to lose by myself, not rely on anybody else. So I never played any other sports. The only sport I played in my life was boxing, and it really hit me so bad that
It was taken away from you.
yeah, everything was taken away from you because that's the only thing I knew how to do. And going back to that, my parents were always worried. I wouldn't come home for 2 days. Um,
So how
I
long?
was.
So after boxing, they tell you you're not going to fight. Like you went down a downward spiral. These are stories I've never heard from you, Coach. So,
Yeah.
for years, months, days, what was it?
For years. I mean, maybe it was about maybe a year, almost 2 years. I was basically
The vago.
the vago. I was working as a bodyguard, carrying a gun.
Oh.
That was my lifestyle. If you really want to hear it, that's my life. That was my life.
I mean, it's up to
Or
you if you want to say it.
I mean,
Without getting
Correct.
into too many details, you were
hmm
providing security as a bodyguard with a
Yeah.
gun.
exactly.
The thing that
And
your mom would never want.
and she knew because uh, at that age I had guns and that was my thing. And going out, walking out with a gun, and coming home with a gun, and just being around people that's their lifestyle. So there was a time where my mom was crying, and she told me straight out. She said, "You're gonna end up dead one day. One day you're gonna come home. So what I'm gonna do, why don't you help your brothers?" At that time, Antonio was doing good. Julio was coming up. Julio was actually the number one in the nation to go to the Olympics as well. Why don't you stop what you're doing? All you do is just worry me and your dad. Sometimes we don't sleep at night thinking you might not come, or.
Because it's that
So,
lifestyle.
mhm. So what happened is changed everything up and started helping Antonio, my brother. I go to the gym and I talked to Lee Espinosa and I said, "Hey, Lee, can I help you with Antonio? Can I help you train fighters?" So he says, "Sure." So then from that moment on, I took Lee Espinosa's physical work. He was just dealing with the managing and, helping everybody else, helping the whole team. And I was dealing with the physical work. And that's how I started getting more into the sport. And when I decided that I wanted to be a trainer, I really enjoyed it. And then everything else started staying behind slowly, slowly, slowly. Started separating from that environment slowly, but still in touch with people, just like never leave, bad in bad terms, still. But everything started with Antonio. I started training Antonio myself, along with Lee Espinosa's guidance. I was doing the physical work. And then Antonio becomes a champion when he beats Ahmed Santos. And then from there, it went on. And then I said, you know what? If I'm going to be a trainer, I'm going to do it 100%. And then from there, it became Julio. And then from Julio came Tim Bradley.
Wait, hold on,
Then,
Joel. You were leaving the lifestyle that you're at, that que tenía tu mamá dependiente, but at the same time, Lee Espinosa, legendary in the Coachella Valley, had the trainer where he brought everybody up. That's where the man that everybody, if you box in Coachella, you know Lee Espinosa. So you were helping him during the day, but then you leave the gym and still be in that lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you finally completely just end it?
Activity. I'm talking about boxing activity where Antonio's gonna fight, and then they needed me, and hey, you know what? My brother's gonna fight. I can't do it. I have to be with him. I'm training. Okay, no problem, man. And then it went like another fight, and then I was like, I wasn't available anymore, you know. So little by little, everything started, falling in place. Like, okay, man, hey, I know your brother's doing well, and then they will come to fights. I would invite them to fights. Hey, you guys want to come to fights? And they were there, just watching the fights, enjoying. So they knew what I was doing. So, and then they started following the sport, and they started liking the sport of boxing. And man, we support your brother, and then they support Julio, and they supported my brothers because of me. So then all of a sudden, like, hey man, you're busy, man. Hey, that's cool, And then little by little, everything started just stretching to the point where, hey, you know what? I see your brother's gonna fight. Hey, good luck, and that's it. And then all of a sudden, they didn't call me in anymore.
And then that's when you went full into training. But I mean, not to get too far into it, but Joel, did you ever fear for your life at the same time bringing that into the gym?
No, because I always had the control and the protection of everybody around me. I always felt that everything was under control, and I've always had that protection. Regardless, everything was okay.
And now you're full-on trainer, Indio Boys and Girls Club. You run the show there. You mentioned Timothy Bradley, who's over your shoulder. And once you finally got yourself into the training world, it wasn't like, hey, I have a world champion immediately. It's you have to go and start again from the ground up. It's Timothy Bradley. You took him to be a champion, but you were fighting at Casino Morongo. You were fighting at the Thompson shows at the very bottom. What is it about those fights that kept you motivated at that time? Because you could have easily just said, you know what, let me go back to that bodyguard lifestyle and the quick money.
Yeah, well, it was the quick money. It was the easy money. But at the same time, I've always, right now, as I'm speaking to you right now, I can still picture my mom's face, and the sadness in her eyes, worried. And I had to make the change, It's like, you got to do it for your family. And I did. It was either that or change your life for a better living. And that's where I am, That's why I never really cared. I mean, going to a Thompson event at the DoubleTree or anywhere else, I didn't care. When I started, actually, let me tell you, the first fight on my own, the first fight when I separated from Lee Espinosa, I used to train a kid by the name of Tomas Barragan. And when I left the Coachella Boxing Club, Antonio, my brother, was already running the Boys and Girls Club in Indio. Because when Jimmy Roybal passed, he was the trainer in Indio. So he says, hey, I'll give the rights to the Diaz brothers. So at the time, I was training, I was working construction. I did sheet metal work for 16 years. I was working for a sheet metal company for 16 years. And when Antonio took over the Boys and Girls Club in Indio, and then a year after, I went over there and I said, I'll help you for free. So I helped Antonio for free, training a kid by the name of Tomas Barragan, he was 5-0 when he stopped. That kid, when I debuted him, I didn't know where to start. But the person who took me to South Africa to fight was not Lee Espinosa, who trained me. It was Jimmy Montoya. Jimmy Montoya, legendary Jimmy Montoya, he was the one that went with me to South Africa. He was in my corner. Him and my brother Antonio. So coming back from Africa, Jimmy and I became good friends. He was in my camp. He went to Africa with me. Came back. So we were really good friends. And Jimmy Montoya had a lot of influences in the sport of boxing. Everybody knew Jimmy Montoya. So I picked up the phone one day and I said, "Hey Jimmy, I'm on my own now. I have a couple of fighters that I wanna, fight. Would you help me?" He said, "Sure." So he gives me a fight at the Pala Casino out in Temecula. It was a Sugar Ray Leonard event. And I took this kid. It was an ESPN show. And I remember we were a swing bout. We were a swing bout that night. And every single fight ended up in knockout before the fourth round. So they needed rounds. So when they put us in there, that kid, I mean, I had calls from a lot of people. Who's this kid? Who's managing him? Who's training him? Me, just me, just me. And at that time, I remember Sugar Ray Leonard came to me and says, "What would it take for me to work with this boy?" And I said, "You know what? Talk to Jimmy Montoya." Even though the boy was mine, I trained him. He had no manager. The only thing Jimmy Montoya did at the time was just put me there on the spot. Got me the spot for my boy to fight. But the fact that he put me there, I gave him the respect of counting him in. Talk to Jimmy Montoya, I didn't take over. So Jimmy Montoya says, "You know what? Hey, thank you for that. Whatever you need." So that's how I started myself. And then from there on, I kept going on with Bradley. When Bradley came to me, nobody believed in Bradley. I remember when Bradley came to me, he was actually a little sad because he approached Lee Espinosa first. And he told me, he goes, "Would you train me?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Yeah, I went to Coachella and I asked Lee Espinosa if he would train me, and he told me that I was never going to do anything there because I'm too short, I'm black, and I don't hit hard." Okay? I go, it sounds like Lee Espinosa. Lee's always been very straight up. He'll tell you straight up. So I said, "Yeah, I'll train you, So I started training him, and I had him. I had to change his style because he was very amateuristic. He was like one of those, a lot of speed, very amateur style. So I changed him, and then I brought him to Thompson, and fought at the Omega.
Corona outside.
Yeah, and we fought in Corona his first knockout, and then from there it went on. It was actually until he had like I think 10 fights when Miguel Diaz started mentioning Tim Bradley, and then it went from there to Gary Shaw, and it went to Top Rank, and we just started going. We went against all odds. I'm telling you, with Tim Bradley, we went against all odds. Every fight that Timothy Bradley had was for him to win, but he just kept winning. And
Timothy Bradley is the first fighter that you made a world champion, correct?
Well, I can say Antonio. Because like I said, when I started training Antonio, that's when he won his first title against Ahmed Santos.
But Bradley's the first one not related to you.
Yes.
And now, Coach, India Boys and Girls Club, it is, I love going to that gym because it is an old school gym, 2 small little rings, and there is no English spoken at all. And if it is, you barely understand it because you have
Russian.
The Russians, the Kazakhs, Uzbeks, you have guys from these mountains. Over your shoulder, you have Ruslan Provodnikov, the Siberian Rocky. And how did these guys from all over the world, you have Argentina, you have Mexico, you have wherever it is they're coming from.
Germany,
like
Chile,
you're right.
I got 2 kids from Chile, yeah.
Yeah, and how did you go from a guy that guardaespaldas to having a worldwide following? How?
Well, look, it's a very interesting story. What happened? How I started working with the Russians. When Timothy Bradley fights Ruslan Provodnikov, going to that fight, I remember the previous fight before that one. I remember Timothy Bradley's wife comes to the gym and says, "Hey, well, our next fight, they're giving us five names." I remember it was Brandon Rios, Alvarado. I don't know. It was a total of 5 guys, but I know it was Brandon Rios, Alvarado. I don't remember the other names, but there was another one that was Ruslan Provodnikov. Ruslan Provodnikov was offered for my brother Julio to fight up in Temecula, and we said no. Ruslan Provodnikov, that guy's an animal,
Yeah.
And Julio was already towards the end of his career, and we said no. That's when he fought Mauricio Herrera. So So we turned down the fight with Julio and Ruslan. So when Monica came and said that there was those names offered for Bradley's next fight, and I put it together, I said, hey, I'm gonna go from the first to last. We'll fight Brandon Rios first option, second option Alvarado, third option is this guy. I said, and I had the very last option, Ruslan Provodnikov. So she goes, okay, thank you. So she left, and the next day I come back to the gym and I say, hey Tim, I think I made a mistake. He says, what? He goes, I made a mistake by putting Ruslan Provodnikov at the end of the option. He goes, what do you mean? I said, because these people don't like you. They want you to lose. Every time you have a fight, they want you to lose. So what I'm thinking is this: they're gonna offer you Ruslan Provodnikov. He goes, you think so? I go, yes. Why? Because I put him at the last. And sure thing, they said, oh well, Alvarado's not available. Brandon Rios has this problem. So and so and so. So the only one available is Ruslan Provodnikov. I said, I told you. So that was the fight. That was the fight that happened after Bradley had fought Pacquiao and he had that injury on his ankle. That fight, it went from June. I mean, Bradley was in a wheelchair between June, July, August. Started on crutches like September, October. We started training. I think it was early December to fight February against Ruslan Provodnikov.
Wow.
Ruslan. I mean, as a matter of fact, in Bradley's career, he never had a problem with weight. Never. And for that fight, 3 weeks before the fight with Ruslan Provodnikov, he calls me from his house. He's in his backyard. And he tells me, Coach, I can't lose weight. I said, what do you mean? He says, I can't. I've been trying. Did everything, and I can't lose weight, Coach. And it was because all that inactivity, being on a wheelchair, crutches, because due to the injury on his ankle. So we tried different methods, right? I said, we're going to go on. I brought another guy to help us in with the weight. So he did. I remember Bradley never having issues with weight. And his only fight in his career that had problems with weight was that one. The day of the weigh-ins, we're at the hotel. There was a big old square tub in the hotel. I remember we filled it up with hot water, put Epsom salt, kept him in there for about an hour, 15 minutes. He lost 4 pounds.
Jeez.
And he told me, he goes, Coach, walking into the ring that night, I remember I was touching myself on the chin with my own punches, and I was getting dizzy. And that's what happened. Going back to what happened, how I met the Russians, after that fight, I went up to Ruslan and told him, hey, Ruslan, I'm a big fan. Always been a big fan. Great fight. From that moment on, every time I run into his manager, Vadim, I would say, hey, Vadim, how's Ruslan? Hey, he's good. Hey, tell him I said hello. Hey, I'm a big fan of the guy, man. Whatever happened, that fight, big fan. Every time, fight after fight. So when that happened, he was training in Wild Card at the same time with Pacquiao. One day I was in Arizona, went to the river. On my way back, I get a phone call from Vadim. And he tells me, hey, Mr. Diaz, how are you? I said, how's it going, Vadim? He says, I want to ask you a question. Would you train Ruslan Provodnikov? I said, sure. He says, because right now there's talks that there's a possible fight between Ruslan Provodnikov and Manny Pacquiao. And they cannot train in the same gym. They can't train with Frey Roach. I said, sure. And he tells me, would you come to Los Angeles and train him over there? And I said, no. At that time,
you know what? You people from Coachella, and I said you people, because you guys from Coachella, you don't leave Coachella. Even when you go to school, it's like, no, aquí me voy a quedar.
No, but it's not that. It's like,
yes, it is. You guys don't want to leave.
I'll leave, but this is the thing. My camp is in India.
Exactly.
Okay? My camp is in India. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if I only had 1 or 2 fighters, I'll go to Big Bear. I'll go away. I don't care. I like to isolate my fighters. But the thing is, when I have a full camp of 6, 7, 8 fighters, it's hard for me because, like I told Vadim that day, when he tells me, would you come to Big Bear and train Ruslan? I said, no. He says, let me tell you why, Vadim. I have 8 fighters in camp right now. And he told me, he goes, how about if I rent a house for your fighters? I said, it's not fair for them because if I move them, they're going to say, well, we're moving because of somebody else, not because of us.
Yeah.
It's not fair for them. He goes, I understand. He goes, it's because Ruslan has a masseuse, nutritionist, conditioning trainer in Los Angeles. I said, well, you let me know.
Well, he sounds like me. I got all of that too.
Okay. Well, he says, so then A day later, he called me back and says, "Hey, you know what? Ruslan says he wants to try it." So Ruslan comes down to Indio. He's not talking to nobody. He's like in a bad mood. He's training. He like.
But coach, you gotta understand though, when you're not from Indio and you go to Indio,
Yeah.
come on.
But you know what? It took him 2 days, and after that, he's like, "Man, where have I been all this time? Indio is the place." He says, "Over there in Los Angeles, I live like 5 miles from the gym, and it took me 45 minutes to get to the gym. Right here, I mean, I'm like 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
You know."
Real camp, and I will say it, Indio is a real camp.
So that's what happened. That's how we met. That's how we started working with Ruslan. He really liked the training, liked Indio, and from there on, when Vadim started managing more fighters, the first person was because he already been with me with Ruslan. He introduced Shakram Giasov, Batir Akhmedov, and brought him over, and then all of a sudden came Raja Butayev, and then more John Akhmadaliyev, and then now this is their home. They started renting apartments, renting hotels. Now they bought a house. They bought a house, and they made it a home for camp.
Coach, do you speak Russian?
No, I don't speak Russian. I understand
a couple words, right?
Look, when I'm in the corner with them, I can because constantly every day in the gym, I already know what combinations to throw when they're there in their language. They understand,
Okay.
Simple things like the basics of what I need to communicate with them in the ring. I know it.
Okay. All right.
But they understand, like, because I hear the guy tells them what punch to throw. So I know the punches, and I just put them together. A little bit of numbers, like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. In numbers. I know a little bit of that, and the combinations in their language. So I ask them for a combination. They already know because I listen to it when they're sparring. So I pick it up.
Now, how many fighters do you train right now that you would say are trained by you?
I mean, right now, right here, or
just in general, overall.
I think I have like 18 fighters.
18 fighters. All right, now I'm going to take a couple questions. People are sending questions here. Javier Razo, tu gallo. Saludos, un abrazo a los dos. All right, we'll get that one out of there.
Saludos, Razo.
Yeah, saludos. About time he jumps in here. This from the Ace of SoCal. He has a question. I told you, Coach, we're going to get interactive. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to jump in for the coach. Ask him if he's enjoying the break from listening to Sal Sanchez because he talks so much.
Look, Sal is a very nice kid, man. That kid has a heart of gold. I'll tell you a story with Sal. I had a kid fighting in Fresno one time, and I was going to drive by myself, and he tells me, "Coach, you going to Fresno?" And the reason why he wanted to go, because I guess he met a girl he met a girl on Instagram or something like that, and she lived in Fresno. So he wanted to take the opportunity to go and meet her in person. So he knew I was going to Fresno.
You're his Uber, the Mexican Uber. You took him.
And I remember him telling him, he asking me, "Coach, you going to Fresno?" "Yeah." "Can I go?" That's all. I go, "You want to go?" And he just shook his head. I go, "Can you come with me?" We went from Indio to Fresno. We drove. I mean, imagine me and him in a car sitting for 5 hours. He doesn't talk. He probably said a few words in 5 hours. Yeah. And I remember I stopped at a store to get a coffee, and I usually buy bread, like, Mexican bread or whatever. And I remember he was hungry, and he goes, "Can I get a bread?" That's all he said. "Yes, you can have one."
Yeah, and Sal Sanchez, a young fighter for Thompson. He's pretty quiet. I think he's probably said 5 words his entire life from Indio. About 118 pounds. Coach, you got a drink in front of you. I'm having a beer right now, so if you want to make a shot, go for it. Take it right now. Make sure you guys listen to the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast, the Living the Dream podcast, more from Joel Diaz. Seriously, Coach, if you want to pour yourself un trago right now, go for it. You got a little. There you go, Celeste. There you go. Because Coach.
Give me a beer.
Yeah, please, because we got plenty of time. Yeah, porque look, I knew normally I drink my wine during the week, but I knew that La Maldita Pobreza is going to come through, so I had to go and get the Don Julio.
Nice.
Don Julio is. I'm gonna have a shot with you, Reposado. So there it is. This one comes from Sulem Urbina. A question from Sulem: what changed your mind about women's boxing, Coach?
When I saw her fight.
Kidding me.
I'm telling you, I was never a fan of women boxing, honestly.
Uh-huh.
And I remember one time, I want to say hello to Salem. I hope she's doing well. Her and Andrew, back in Phoenix, really nice people. I mean, great people in the sport of boxing. Um, One time, Beto, uh, I don't know, I was doing a live on my Instagram, and somebody asked me about women boxing, right? And I said, I'm not really a big fan of women boxing, and she commented, and I said, you know what? Because I never paid attention much on women boxing, and then when I saw her fight, shot tequila,
Oh, sí. Oh,
and
vamos a tener chat. Yeah.
maldita pobreza. So when I saw Sulem Urbina fight in Tijuana, from that moment I said, man, hey, I mean, I need to pay a little more attention on the women's fight. I was training Maricela Cornejo at the time.
Yeah.
But it was just basically Maricela Cornejo, her fights, the fights that we had together, and other than that, I never really paid attention to women boxing. And when I saw the performance that Sulem put up in Tijuana, honestly,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this girl leaves her whole heart in the ring. And I said, you know what? I'm off. This is a shot of Don Julio.
Aquí estamos, coach. Salud.
Cheers.
Cheers. We'll take the shot.
Well,
Woo!
and that's how I became
Woo-hoo.
that's how I became more aware of the women's boxing. Sulem, as a matter of fact, she's always in touch with us. She's really good friends with my team. Her and Antonio click really well. They got a long relationship from the amateurs, and basically, most of the fighters that are my team right now, she knows because Andrew, her husband, either worked with some of the Uzbeks at one point, doing some hand wrapping or whatever. I remember her telling me, "Oh, well, I know PB Romero. PB Romero and I, we go way back. Oh, me and Francisco Vargas." And with that being said, Sulem has always been around the sport, and she's come over here to my gym to meet with some other girl from San Diego. They meet halfway to get some sparring. So, we're in the sport, and I'm very thankful to be around and be part of it.
Mr. Boxing Guru checks in. Sal, the host of the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Check him out on iTunes, Spotify, everything else. Coach, that shot got me pretty good. That was nice. That was a little Don Julio. I'm feeling pretty good. Now, let's go back to this about you professionally, though. Coach, when you've had your run-ins with fighters where they leave you, you leave them, and I've seen it, though. For example, Vergil Ortiz, somebody that you started with, he left for Robert Garcia without getting into the details or anything like that. But at the same time, I've also seen you post on your social media how you root for this young man. How hard is it?
I'm a big fan of Vergil Ortiz. Honestly, I mean, I've had a lot of fighters. I've had a lot of fighters in my camp, and they leave. I mean, there's some come, some go, and honestly, the only guy that really bothered me, that took me weeks, that I would wake up in the middle of the night, and it was Vergil, because it really bothered me. It really hurt me, because I've had high expectations of this kid being part of my team. I said, man, this kid has everything, man. This kid's a superstar, no doubt in my mind, because me as a trainer, I see the abilities, strengths, potentials of fighters, and I can tell you, man, that kid right there, he's very special. And I remember he came 2 summers. We came 2 summers as an amateur, and it's a very good story. It's a story because, I mean, a lot of people always present themselves with the story, but the story with Vergil Ortiz was, he came one summer. His dad and Antonio were friends, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna send my son over there to train with you guys." Okay, send him over.
As a teenager, right? He was still an amateur.
He was still an amateur. Antonio was always so busy and he would train him, and I would spend more time with Vergil than Antonio because I liked the kid, and he was always very quiet and bring him to my house, and he became friends with my son, my daughter, my kids, and my wife. He would spend most of the time here.
Yeah, great kid.
Great kid. So I remember he came one summer and he went back home, and the following summer the dad brought him back. He was already towards the end of his high school year, and we had the Desert Showdown, which was a tournament we used to have every year here at the 29 Casino here in Fantasy Springs Casino in Coachella. And I remember Vergil Ortiz and another kid from Phoenix, Alfredo Scarcega, were here. They were here. They were both training with us. So going into the tournament, it was a 4-day tournament, and I ran into Eddie Gomez, Eric Gomez.
Oh, Eric Gomez.
And Rolando Arellano. I ran into them.
From Golden Boy.
From Golden Boy Promotions. And I remember Rolando Arellano asking me, because Rolando and I will go way back. I used to train Vicente Escobedo before, and good guy. So he tells me, hey, what do you see in this tournament? I said, I don't see a lot of potential right now. There was a kid by the name of Danny Garcia, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Good kid, good amateur fighter. He was making a lot of noise in the amateurs. 126-pounder. And he tells me, hey, we're here to check out a kid by the name of Danny. I said, I told Rolando Arellano. As a matter of fact, Vergil Ortiz was next to me because he was gonna go up next. Cheers,
coach. I got you. I gotta pour it first. Tú sigue. Because you're telling such good stories, I gotta go and make sure that I get it. Because people making fun of me saying that I choked on the first shot. Sorry to interrupt the Vergil. Here, I get it. Cheers. It's a shot.
Look at me.
Well, pues usted es hombre. I still get a manicure.
So, as Rolando Arellano tells me, hey, so we're looking at this kid. I said, you know what, Rolando? That's not what you guys are looking for. I know you guys as promoters, the style of fighters you guys are looking for. And that kid doesn't fit you guys' style. That kid is a mover. He hits and moves. You guys want more of that Mexican style type. And I even told Rolando and Eric, I said, don't go by what I'm telling you. I mean, look, you see this kid right here next to me? His name is Vergil Ortiz. If you guys really looking for somebody, just watch him. Just watch him, and you tell me what you guys think. All right. So they go up to the bleachers. I go up in the ring with Vergil, and Vergil knocks the guy out. Knocks him out. So they were impressed. The next day, we come back, and they're like, hey, is Vergil fighting? Yeah, he's fighting. Okay. What bout is he? And I tell them, we're going to go eat. We'll come back. They saw he knocks the guy out again. In the second fight, 2 knockouts. The third fight, he was going to fight. Remember Nico Macias? El
Rooster.
El Rooster. He was going to fight his brother.
Okay.
And then Rolando Arellano tells me, hey, is Vergil fighting Nico Macias' brother? I said, yeah. He says, what do you think about that fight?
Wait, Coach, before that, though, in amateurs, there really don't see many knockouts, right?
Nope. Mm-mm.
Wow.
And Vergil was executing his kids. Not stopping them, knocking them out.
Wow.
So then
with headgear.
With headgear.
Wow.
And Rolando Arellano told me, hey, there's some guys over there betting money that Macias is going to beat Vergil. I said, no, he's not going to last 3 rounds.
Wait. There's gambling in amateur boxing?
People among themselves,
Oh, I gotta go.
There's always been. You go to an amateur event, there's always that father. It's always fathers. Oh, my son's going to be out. It's always fathers.
Okay, all right.
So I tell Rolando, that kid Macias is not going to last in there with Vergil. He goes, are you serious? He says, that kid Macias, everybody's talking so good about him. I go, yeah, but Vergil's going to execute him. I remember Vergil stopped him in the second or the third round, but stopped him. From that moment on, Rolando Arellano, Eric Gomez were every day on me. Hey, what can we do to sign this kid? I said, let me talk to the father. And then I connected them with the father. I was in the middle and negotiating a contract back and forth, so on, so on, so. It went on for months and months and months, And, we dedicated some time with Vergil. Obviously, Vergil's father brought him to that level because he knows his thing. Vergil's father is a person that knows boxing. Everything his son knows, he taught him. I can tell you that. And Virgil's father taught Virgil discipline, work ethic, and everything else. I mean, he's very skillful. I mean, he's always been a big fan of Miguel Cotto, that left hook to the body. He has a powerful right hand. I mean, Virgil hits you with both hands and does damage with both hands. Smart with defense, smart with offense. He knows when and when not. And I can tell you this: if Virgil is healthy, if Virgil doesn't run into any injuries in his career, he's going to be one of the biggest fighters of this era. And, I mean, whatever it is, I'm always going to be, I still follow him on Instagram, for his birthday. Hey, happy birthday, Virgil. I mean, I have no hard feelings towards the kid. I mean,
but coach, in this sport, you get what I'm saying. It's aunque sea el deporte de hombres, right? A bunch of men, but it gets very petty at times because this is deporte de los pobres, right? It's a poor man's sport.
It's a poor man's sport, and it's a very jealous sport. I'm telling you, it's I mean, you have to.
I mean, as a broadcaster, I keep my distance. You're one of the few guys that I really am. I consider friends with, but because I see it, I was warned when I started doing boxing analysis 6 years ago. Because I was working at ESPN, and they were telling me, okay, this is the way it goes on in the normal sports world. Welcome to boxing. It was what I was told. It's fucking boxing. When you expect something to happen, it's not, because it's fucking boxing. It's simple as that. It's just you're dealing with people who aren't educated. You're dealing with people who are fighting their way out of the street, their situations, and they're dealing with people who are trying to pull one over them. It's like really dirty, but at the same time, I love the sport so much because of the characters that are involved, the boxers, the stories that you can tell about these guys. Because you can take somebody like Timothy Bradley, who nobody want to give a chance, take him to be a world champion. Because at the end of the day, to be a champion, you have to be the one that's getting up at 5 a.m. to go run the hills, to go do this. It's a self-discipline, but yet, if you take away all the dirtiness, it's a beautiful sport. But coach, you got to also keep your head on a swivel with people, right? There's a bunch of snakes out there. How do you deal with that?
You always have to keep your guard up. I mean, eventually in a sport with time, based on your experience, you know the people. You get to know the people along the way. And I can tell you I'm not the first and the last person that is going to go through situations similar to this. But the thing is this, Beto, I grew up in a different environment where a handshake and a word means a lot,
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays it's not like that. Back in the day, you shake somebody's hand and you show them you're loyal, and you give a person your word, and your word is your credential. It's not like that anymore. I remember when Bradley was with me, when we started with Bradley, people would tell me, and I would get mad. Honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. And now that we're talking about this, people tell me, why don't you sign Bradley? For what? You should sign him. One of these days he's going to leave you. I go, nah, why would he leave me? Honestly, when Bradley started, nobody gave him a chance. I always told Bradley, this is what's going to happen. And he goes, Coach, everything you tell me is going to happen. I go, just listen to me. I mean, I even told him, hey, Bradley, when you present yourself, dress nice. I don't want you to be dressing thuggish. Present yourself right. Okay, he did. Hey, Bradley, when you start making money, don't go waste money and throw your money away. Invest it in certain things, right? He did his investments. Hey, you know what? Open up an LLC. I opened one. Where right here? I guided him along the way, And people would tell me, man, sign him. I go, but I'm his trainer. You could sign him. No, that's okay. Because it was my word and his word. Like, hey, he's like my little brother, He was like my son. I mean, Bradley and I went through, we cried together. We celebrated together. Everything, And I see him. I seen him recently. Great guy. Have a lot of respect for him. I respect the kid. I mean, he's a great human being. Tim Bradley is one of the greatest human beings I've ever met, with a great heart. He gives his life for other people, And I will never forget. But like I said, why would when I was training him, I was his manager. Honestly, I ran his career from the beginning, where I would get his sparring partners, I would make the calls, I would do this. his managers were never around him. I played manager. He even told me one day, Coach, nobody's ever gonna, be in charge of doing my cuts. For Bradley, I was his hand rep guy, his cut man, his conditioning trainer, all the way to not so long ago when he got a strength and conditioning coach. But I did I did his conditioning, his cuts, his hand wraps, his boxing, everything. I was one package for him. But I never believed in people that would tell me you should sign him. But what for? To me, I feel good inside that what I did was right, and it was all honest. It was all about from the heart. I don't care about the rest.
This question comes in for Roberto Diaz Jr. How many fighters have you encountered where the toughest opponent is themselves, Coach?
A lot of them. A lot of fighters have a lot of issues, and I always tell them, your worst opponent is yourself. Some fighters don't believe in themselves. Some fighters, I have to constantly repeat it themselves. Hey, you gotta believe in your ability. If you don't believe in your own ability, you're not gonna do anything. A lot of fighters, they get in the ring and they hold back because they're scared of doing things. I mean, you have to try different things in the ring. If you don't, you're never gonna experience how does it feel. You have to always be cautious, do things right, and listen to your corner. But I mean, every fighter in my camp thinks different. You gotta treat them. Yeah, you gotta treat them the way they think, because if you don't, then they think you're against them or you're not helping. So, like I always say, I never change fighter styles. If you give me a fighter with a style, I'm gonna see his style and I'm just gonna make his style better. Because what happens is, if you try to change them, you're gonna affect them. So let's just work with what they do best.
Coach,
that's what I do.
How do you deal with a fighter who you've known for a while, you brought them up, and then se le sube? They get a little ego, a little arrogance about it. Because that happens. We all do. As a broadcaster, once I started making money, can't tell me nothing. How do you deal with that as a coach/trainer?
I never had that situation to that extreme, but
I've
had it with some where, hey, sometimes you have to be a little hard on them, honestly, because when you come from nothing and you become something, you cannot forget where you come from. You can't.
But it's easy.
It is easy because it changes your life, but at the same time, you have to remember where you come from. You have to remember to stay humble. Why? Because that's where you came from. At one point in your life, you didn't have anything. Now that you have something, you're gonna be arrogant. You can't do that. Oh, believe me, and I tell them straight out. I mean, I've seen it.
I've seen it while you're wrapping the reason I brought that is I've seen it while you're wrapping somebody's hands. You're giving them instruction, and they have their headphones on. One of the few times where I walk in and I walked right back out. I saw that. I was like, oh, and sure enough, your guy ended up losing that night because I knew it because you told me afterwards he didn't want to listen. The fight was lost before we even walked in there.
Yeah, there's fights that you lose before you even step in the ring because, I mean, they think they know it all and they think they got it under control. And they're like, it's not like that, You're not on your own. When you go to a fight, I mean, you go along with the team. So the team plays a role. You're not on your own. If you want to do things on your own, believe me, you're going to run into problems. And it's happened. You've seen it. I mean, there's fighters that, they start being a little arrogant. Okay, you want to be arrogant? I'm going to let you go on your own. What happens? Hey, there you go. That's what you get. And after that, they humble down a little bit. But wait, they need a little knock on their head in order for them to realize that you have to stay humble. You have to be humble.
Coach, you still got a beer? Or you need another one?
No, I still got a little bit, and I still got a little tequila there.
All right. Well, tell Celeste to go get you another beer. Right now, I'm gonna do a commercial. I'm gonna pour myself another shot. I've already had two because when you're with Joel Diaz, you gotta have one. So get yourself a beer. I know you take it. We've been doing this for an hour, Coach. So I know you love to talk. We got all kinds of good stories, and I love hearing them all. Right now, let me promote some things for you. The things that I've been doing right now. Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast is the baseball one you can listen to right now. Coach, tell Celeste to get you that beer. Put up it. Also, I am hosting a daily game show. It's called Person, Place, or Thing. You can check it out on Facebook, also on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook at Beto Duran. I have all kinds of stuff for you. And during this quarantine time, we got to get creative. I'm thinking we got to do something with Coach once a week, or just like the questions back and forth on this program that I have. People could do everything for you right now. And then, Coach, when you go back and watch it, I have the shot glass. Let me know when you're ready. This is going to be my third shot. But, Coach, mine right here says no whining, because I learned that from you. Cállate.
No whining. Let's go.
Oh. Me voy a ser mexicano hoy. Oh, look at that. I have a flag. All of a sudden, I got a Mexican flag. Ahora sí soy mexicano. All of a sudden. Cuando me conviene.
Right, Beto.
Mande.
Who is this?
Hold on. Let me get the single shot on that. That is... He's not talking, so it's Sal Sanchez.
It's supposed to be me. Celeste drew it.
No.
When I was in 6th grade, look, as you can see my IBF belt right here. Actually, there is. Celeste, where's the picture that you drew it off? The picture you copied this.
Coach, you had great hair. Nice flat top.
I used to have a flat top before.
Well, I did too in elementary. Coach, right now, while people are joining us right now for the first time, I know Steve Kim is going to catch up with us. This has been live on YouTube. And told me it was, hey, Coach Schwartz is listening to us right now. He runs on Sundays with Doug Fisher. And oh my goodness, bring it up. Who's that? Is that you? Oh, it is you.
Yeah, that's a picture she copied off. Yeah.
You know what? All right, put it side by side. You know what, Celeste? You did do it right.
Celeste, look, there's
there it
that
is.
One, and look, and she was in 6th grade.
Hey, that girl has talent. I don't care what you say. I don't care, man. That's all, for 6th grade. Celeste, there you go. There you go. Arturo Izquierda with the saludos desde Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks to you. Coach, also, all right, I don't think you're gonna be able to see this because I don't have it set up. But on your social media, make sure you guys go follow Coach's Instagram, Coach Joel Diaz. Now, normally when somebody on Instagram on their story have a bunch of small little dots, I skip them. But you, Coach, I like yours because you got your guys running in the morning and you're telling all kinds of stories with them. It's cool for the morning when they're working out. One of these days, I'm going to go run the sand dunes with you. But, Coach, you are the snake killer. Forget Tiger King. You are the man who all of a sudden is finding snakes in your backyard.
No. They're not necessarily in my backyard.
Oh, no?
No. I mean...
the rattlesnakes?
Yeah, but the rattlesnakes are in the desert. Remember, my ranch is over there by the desert where I have my horses.
Okay.
Rattlesnakes hibernate wintertime. And when it starts getting hot, they start coming out. Right?
Okay.
So right now they're looking for water.
Uh-huh.
You know, a quick story. My dad used to irrigate grapes back then, early in the 1980s. Late 1980s. I used to go with my dad.
Okay.
There was one summer that my dad was irrigating a field of tomatoes. There was maybe like 25 minutes from here, where there was nothing. There was nothing, Beto. And one day when you come to India, I'm bring my dad. He's gonna tell you the story.
Coach, on the screen, I'm showing pictures of you holding the rattlesnakes that I went and found on your social media.
I got 2 snakes this week. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
And okay, now I remove the skin. I like to. Right now, the skin is curing. By Saturday, I'm gonna take out 2 skins. They're gonna be cured. Let them dry. Let them soften up because I'm gonna use them for things, you know. And the snake itself right now is drying up because those we eat.
Yeah.
Snake is really good.
Wait, you eat the snake?
Yeah, snake. It helps you prevent cancer. It helps you clean your blood system. People that have acne and manchas on their face. It helps you remove all that stuff from your face. Cleans your face, honestly. I got so many people contacting me right now. Coach, I'll buy that off of you. Sell me a piece.
Well, right here, John Duarte says, make me a wallet, compa.
Look, see this bracelet here? It's a snake bracelet. Snake skin bracelet. Well, going back to the tomato field. I used to go with my dad to the tomato field. It's far away from here, in the middle of nowhere. And my dad would take me with him just to do what? Just to be with him. And my dad told me at one time, he was the reason why I used to do this was to teach you guys how to work. I remember at time I would tell my dad, when I grew up, I'm gonna drive a tractor. My dad would tell me, nope, I don't want you to work on this side of town. I want you to go on that side of town. Because in Indio, the further south you go is desert. It's all agriculture, vegetables, grapes and stuff.
Okay.
And if you go towards this side, like going towards LA, you got Palm Springs and stuff. That's where he wanted me to work. Like, I want you to go get a job on that side, not on this side. So I would be bored. My dad is over there opening up the valves, watering the tomatoes, and I would go look for something to do. There was times in which I would come back with my dad and with a snake around my neck and playing with another alive. Okay, I would catch him alive and then just bring him. I would wrap one around my neck and I would just be funny with my dad. Look, Dad, what I found. He goes, what are you doing? I go, look, I got some snakes, and they were still alive. He goes, they're gonna bite you. No, they're not. And from there on, I mean, I've never been scared of snakes. I know snakes are more scared of you than you scared of them.
No, I'm scared of them.
I know. I mean, Antonio has fainted on me a couple times when I show him snakes. He fears them. But to me, like, if they tell me, hey, you know what, there's a snake here, I'll go, I'll pick it up, and if it's not a poisonous snake, if it's not a rattlesnake, I'll grab it, pick it up, and just take it somewhere where nobody will harm it. But I'm not really afraid of snakes.
Yeah, Razo says, where are my snake boots? How they coming along?
Hey, I'm gonna need some more snakes to make your boots, Razo.
Robert Diaz says, there's no venom in those snakes anymore?
No, one because I remove everything. I mean, the venom is held inside. It's like everything, in organs, and it comes in a little vein. So as soon as I kill it, I remove everything, and it just basically the body, the skeleton, where it has all the meat. But one thing, if a snake is mad, don't kill it to eat it, because when a snake is mad, the venom starts spraying around the body, and it's not good for you.
Now, Coach, the picture I'm showing right now is of you wearing a Diego de la Hoya shirt, and your English bulldog is staring at you as you're holding the snake.
He wanted a piece.
Razo says, make me a belt so you can match Roberto Diaz's Gucci belt. See?
Actually, you know what? I gave Bernard Hopkins a beautiful skin. A couple years ago, I caught a big snake, one of the biggest ones I've ever caught. And I cured the skin, and Bernard Hopkins told me, I would like to have a skin to put on my desk. So I prepared a beautiful skin. It was about maybe 6 inches wide by about 4 feet long with a rattle on it. And I took it to him. I gave it to him on a weigh-in for a Canelo fight in Vegas. So Bernard Hopkins has a beautiful snake skin on his desk.
Coach, your brother Toño wants to know, how come you don't send him a shout-out? The entire hour, all we did was talk about him. All of a sudden, he shows up and he está llorando.
Because I thought he was past his bedtime. I thought he was sleeping right now.
Yeah, man. Now, Coach, one of the things that I really like about you is you took me, and this is where I need you to really prove to people that I'm almost Mexican. You took me to your ranch, along with Bernardo Osuna, right? Is it true that I, Beto Visión, had a pajarete?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Beto had 2 pajaretes that I prepared.
Exactly.
Razo had 1. Had 1, and he started feeling a little dizzy.
He did, right?
Yeah, he said, "Hey, I'm feeling a little dizzy," and it wasn't that bad. As a matter of fact,
they were good.
Your 2 pajaretes were stronger than Razo's.
Yeah, porque soy hombre. Soy hombre. That day I was. Now you really love the Coachella Valley, what you do out there, but you have your ranch with your horses. And one of the things that I like about it is that if you follow your social media, you'll go out on your run with the horses in the morning, and you're on the horse. You get after it.
See, what I do is this. There's a run that I do with the guys along the canal. I get the guys away from the city, to where nobody bothers them. No traffic, no nothing. You know, the beautiful thing about the desert is that you can go anywhere outside the city and you can do your run from 1 mile to 10, 20, 30 miles, and you don't have no interference with traffic or anything else. And there is a run that we do along the canal that, I mean, extends along the whole Coachella Valley. But let's say there's Avenue 52, Avenue 50th, and then there's a ranch. So what I do, I drop off the guys like 5 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
I drop them off, and then I drive to the ranch. I'll get the horse, and then I'll go meet up with them so to make sure that they're okay. You know, there's coyotes over there. There's dogs sometimes. I just want to make sure that they're okay on the way back.
And as Mr. Boxing Guru says, that the picture I'm showing right now of you on your horse will make a great Budweiser commercial. It's the one of you rocking your horse, taking it around. So if you guys have any questions for Joel right now, make sure you ask him before we get going, because that third tequila shot is really starting to kick in right now for the Latino lights. Well, Coach, I mean, you know that. You're a real Mexican. I'm kind of... I might have the flag, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean,
no.
Here, let me go be basic right now. You know.
Oh, there you go. It's in the heart. It's in the heart. You know, hey.
It is.
The Mexicans here.
It is. Now let me ask.
Remember, I mean, there's Mexicans that are really hardcore drinkers, and there's Mexicans that are a little bit of lighthead. You know, but so I mean, that doesn't take anything away from you. You're Mexican from the heart.
All right, if I got the Joel Diaz approval, then I'm in. Forget you guys.
You're in.
I'm in. Now, Coach, let me ask you a couple quick fire questions. One-word answers. Favorite fighter?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Hagler, why?
Because that guy, to me, was one of the best fighters with a great style. He had the anger, the power, the aggression, and he was a great person. Came from... I like the guy because his lifestyle was similar to mine. Construction worker, he did construction. You know, two brothers brought him up, and he became one of the greatest ever. To me, honestly, I mean, I'm a Mexican. I love the Mexican fighters: Marco Antonio Barrera, Julio Cesar Chavez. I mean, you name it. I'm a big fan. Canelo Alvarez, all these fighters. But to me, the best fighter of all time, in my opinion, my personal opinion, is Marvin Hagler.
Did you ever meet him?
Yes.
That's cool. That's cool.
Actually, I'm going to show you something. Watch.
Bring it, Coach. Bring it. What do you got?
Watch. Give me a second.
Yeah, I'm going to tell the story while you're at it. So, Marvelous Marvin Hagler at the International Boxing Hall of Fame a couple years ago. I was working a fight, and he shows up, and he's there. I had to take a picture with him. During the middle of the broadcast, I took a picture of the broadcast, and I do some knuckles here. Boom. Let's get going. What do you got, Coach?
When I remember, I thought I was going to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Because when this fight happened, I knew that fight sooner or later was going to go, and I cried when he fought Leonard.
Oh.
Because I thought he won.
Uh-huh.
I mean, to me, he beat Leonard.
Okay.
But I've always been a big fan of Marvin Hagler. I follow Leonard. I follow Hearns. And look, these are historical. They were giving them at the fight.
Caesar Palace. Wait, they're helmets?
Yeah, they were giving these at the fight.
War helmets to say the war. Hagler Hearns, correspondent at Caesar's Palace. What year is that, Coach?
Dude, it's 1989.
89.
It's a helmet. They were giving them at the fight.
Uh-huh.
At Caesar's Palace.
And you took that.
This is great.
So one day you'll get that.
You see that picture? I don't know if you see that picture up there.
What is it? What is it, Coach? Describe it.
It's a picture of Muhammad Ali and the Beatles, signed by both of them. Signed by the Beatles. Yeah, and it's signed by the Beatles, signed by Muhammad Ali when he was Cash's fight.
No way.
And I have the certificate of authenticity of that picture itself.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And you know when I started finding all this stuff? Recently, that I'm on quarantine because I never go to my closet.
Because you're always busy. You wake up in the morning, you get going, you get the guys running, you come back, have some time with your kids, then you go to the gym, you're back and forth, and then there's boxes everywhere else you go, and it's busy. It's busy. It's interesting for you, Coach. This has been really fun. A couple more questions before you go. I mean, where am I gonna go? You know what? I'm not leaving. I have another shot. Why
Look,
not? I got one more shot in me before I start babbling. And thanks to everybody that's listening. This is the first time we've done it. This was only on YouTube today. I think next week I created a Facebook page. You guys want to go follow it? Beto Duran fan page, whatever, something on the face. I hate Facebook because all the Diaz teachers try to get involved and claim you. But Coach, where's your family from? You say you were born in Mexico. Where? I'm asking a bunch of little quick questions here.
yeah. You can ask me whatever you want. Beto.
Minus the nautical. No more nautical questions.
I'm always open to answer your questions. My family are from a place in Michoacan.
Okay.
Jiquilpan, Michoacan.
Wait, slow it down. Slow it down. Say that slower.
Jiquilpan, Michoacan.
Okay. Me too. I'm from there too.
Yeah. So look, this is the thing. When I didn't know who my parents were because my parents came to the United States when I was really little. When I was, really small, and when I grew up with my grandma and my grandpa, not in the city. We lived like in a rancho, like way up in the mountains, where we would walk from up there to the city once every 2 weeks, to get a haircut or get stuff, And when my father decided to bring us to the United States, this story, if Toño's watching, he's not gonna like it, but I'm gonna tell you. I remember they made two attempts to bring us. They would send somebody to pick us up, and we would hide.
Wait, how old were you?
I was 11. I was 11 when they brought me over.
So before you didn't know your parents until you were 11?
No, I couldn't picture them. I didn't know because they left us when we were really small. They left us and they came to the United States.
So you were a toddler with no memory of your parents.
Yes, and they never went to visit us. So we didn't know who our parents were. We just knew my grandma and my grandpa. So when my father decided to bring us, he would send somebody to bring us. And every time we knew he was coming, we would hide.
Who's we? You and who else?
Me, it was myself, my brother Shaggy, and Antonio. Us three.
The three boys.
Yeah, the three boys. So then they tried it again, and the second attempt they didn't do it either. So what my dad said was this: okay, so the only way that we would come to the United States is if my grandma would come. So my grandma says, okay, we'll go. And those things are they really bother me, and they really hurt me in a way because my grandpa was my father. He was the one that raised me. He was the one that taught me everything I know. He's the person who, honestly, I could tell you, made me the man I am now. And when I left, and I told them, I'll be back, I never seen him again. Because my grandma said she was coming with us. So she got in the van. From Jiquilpan, Michoacan to Mexicali, it's about 32-hour drive. So as we were coming to the city, my grandma says, hey, your dad told me to take him a cheese. Because every time people go to Michoacan, they want a cheese, because cheese over there is really good. So my grandma got off the van, and she goes, I'm going to go to the store and get a cheese for your dad. And she never got back in the van, so the guy just started driving. I still remember that.
Wait. They left your grandma behind?
That was the plan. They made us believe she was coming with us, but she wasn't.
Oh, no. Okay, so they told you, your grandparents said, hey, we're going to go. You take your grandma with you. You get to Mexicali at the border. You're 11. Toño is, what?
Toño's 8.
8, 9. Yeah. And then...
yeah, Shaggy is like 9, or like 8, like 10. I was around that. I'm like a year older than Shaggy, and I'm 4 years older than Antonio. So when my grandma, that was the plan. They made us believe my grandma was coming with us, but she wasn't. So when my grandma says, hey, I'm going to get off and get something for your dad, that was part of the plan. They just made us believe that she was coming with us. So, and my grandpa was against that because he really loved us, So My
Yeah.
grandma never got back in the van, and we leave. And honestly,
Okay.
Antonio and I.
So Tonio says he was 5 years old, and he also said that you cried all the way to Coachella, Coach.
I mean, no. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We cried.
But-
We
but-
cried
but-
a lot. I mean, that's something that I'm not embarrassed to say.
No, of course. This is hard. Everybody's listening to this right now. But I just
But-
want to set the picture. So you're in the van. Who's driving? El Coyote?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just
Yeah.
you three boys, or are there other
No,
people?
it's the coyote with his family, his wife, his mom, and his kids. So, but they were okay. They were gonna cross. So we drove to Mexicali. We cried all the way, honestly, and they were mad because we were crying. And I mean,
But
I mean,
Coach,
we're
I'm
kids.
just gonna ask the questions here. Were you crying, or were you bawling and screaming like?
no, just crying. I mean, not
Like
making a
sobbing.
I mean, we're just crying, yeah. Because I mean, where's my grandma? Where's
Because
my grandpa?
if I'm you,
Where are they
I'm yelling, "Ama," like all that, like.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, we don't know nobody. We lived up in the mountains. Like we didn't know. I mean, we would come down. We would come down to the city, and it's like coming down to civilization, and you're hiding behind doors. Like you're embarrassed. Like como dices, como mucha gente dice, estos niños son de rancho. We were. I'm telling you. I mean, we would come down from the rancho to the city with our cheeks full of mocos everywhere. I mean, we grew up we had the rancho style. All we did over there was just take care of the cows, the horses. I was 4 years old, 5 years old. I was growing corn, beans, and all that stuff. I mean, that's our lifestyle at that age.
Yeah, it's the 70s.
So as we're coming to Mexicali, I mean, we cried all along because we're never gonna see our grandpa and our grandma anymore.
What did they tell you something? I'm just asking the dumb
Yeah,
questions.
they
here,
were.
Coach.
I mean, they were mad. I mean, the people in the van were always like trying to shut us up and they were annoyed because we were crying. But I mean, come on, we're kids.
Yeah.
So when we got to Mexicali,
Well, you're also a kid from Rancho, so all you know is your abuelos, and that's it.
that's it. That's all we knew. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know we were scared.
Oh, you didn't
whatever.
know where you were going?
We knew that we were gonna go to our father and mother's house, but who are they? We never seen them. So we get to Mexicali, and then we have a relative in another city here. It's called Mecca, that has 3 kids as the same age as us. At that time, Antonio, my brother, had long hair. Antonio had blonde hair and long all the way to his shoulder.
Yeah.
So what they
Antonio
did-
is telling us that it's 1981.
So the thing is this, Beto, when we were in Mexicali, and my dad's cousin had 3 kids that were the same age as us. The oldest one, my age, and then the second one was my brother Shaggy's age, and the younger one was Antonio's age, but he was a girl. So they dressed Antonio as a girl. They put
No.
Antonio with a dress. Yeah, they dressed Antonio as a girl to cross the border with the birth certificates.
That's the same story that Felipe Esparza talks about his brother. Felipe Esparza, the comedian, says that they did it to his brother, Pati. They gave the brother the name Pati because they dressed him as a girl.
Well, Antonio has pictures of himself when he was that age. His hair was all the way down to his shoulder, blonde hair, and they dressed him as a girl because the birth certificate was a girl's birth certificate. So when they crossed the border, they took us to Mecca. My dad goes to pick us up, and we were asleep. And my dad picks us up, and we get in the car. We didn't know who he was. Honestly, we thought he was a stranger. I was 11, 12, 13. Honestly, I think I started calling my dad when I was like 14. Yeah.
I mean, we've heard those stories from a lot of immigrant kids about the struggle to cross over and the turmoil that you go through. But Coach, you said before this though that you tried to cross over a couple times before that.
No. My dad would send the guy all the way to Michoacan.
Oh,
bring us.
And you were saying no.
And when we see the van coming through the rancho, we will run and hide. And another story based on the same thing. When we came to Coachella, because we lived in Coachella, they took us to school. The school was walking distance. The first day we go to school, they put me in the classroom and they put my brother in another classroom. My brother Shaggy would run out of the class and go home crying. And then they convinced him to stay in class. So my brother Shaggy, what he did was for 1 month, one whole month, he didn't go to school. He will walk with us to school, And then he would leave school and he would hide behind a palm tree for a whole day. He wouldn't eat. And then, and one day, my parents were picking grapes and it rained. And they're coming home. And as they're driving home, they see somebody hiding behind a palm tree. My brother Shaggy at the time, he had a trench around the palm tree because he would walk around the palm tree. Yeah, seriously.
And he made a little track.
Yeah. And then when my mom noticed, she goes, "Hey, wait. I think it's that Jesus over there." So then they pulled over and they got off and they found him. They took him to school and said, "Hey, has he been coming to school?" And the teacher says, "No, it's been a month. He hasn't been coming to school." So he will walk with us to school in the morning. He will grab a couple of papers from the school and he will go hide behind the palm tree for a whole month. And he will come home saying that was his homework.
And your coach, correct you, your brother Toño says it was half a year, not a month.
I don't know how long.
Coach, yes, I'm just scared. I mean, appreciate you opening up like that. And as the guru said, you wear your heart on your sleeve. That's not too shot, Coach. And you know what? La maldita pobreza. When you're crossing and you don't even know who your parents are, there really is no whining right there. Salud. Cheers.
Maldita pobreza. Salud.
Wow. And I think that's the beauty of you, Joel Diaz, and why I respect you a lot. And I think everybody in the sport of boxing and anybody that's come across you does, is because you're a straight shooter with them. And you come straight to them. Whether you're a reporter in a fighter meeting, whether you're a boxer, whether you're a trainer, it's here you guys go. This is for you. And I think at the end of the day, in 2020, we have too many people telling you one thing but doing another. And
yeah, you know, Beto, it's I met so many people in the sport of boxing. This is a sport I chose, and this is what I love to do. I run into people. You know, I'm actually grateful that I know so much people like you, like a lot of reporters, like Bernardo Osuna, like all these people. You know, Ricardo Celis, all these commentators that I work with. And when I was working for HBO Latino, ESPN, you guys have always been great. Even in the sport, in the boxing, in the area of the boxers, trainers, managers, promoters, I'm so grateful to just be part of everybody in the sport.
Yeah, but Coach, it's, I think, my pleasure tonight, because I told you I'm going to use you as a guinea pig trying to figure out how to do this YouTube Live. I can't even figure out the Facebook yet because I don't have any followers. Beto Duran on Facebook if you guys want to follow it. But anyways, the stories that you tell, it's part of who we are. And like I was telling Bobby Diaz, your fake nephew, Roberto Diaz's son, that...
No, he's a great kid. I love that kid.
All those guys do. And John Duarte says right here, we should do this show every single week with Joel. And because we're quarantined, yeah. And it's not like you're making this up. And at the end of the day, like I've been a reporter in this business since 2000 when I started as an intern for CNN. And I've met a lot of people who I like. I've met a lot of people I don't like. I met a lot of people I liked that I ended up not liking. But at the end of the day, though, and I think that's part of the, like, okay, I'm Latino light-ish, whatever. But the beauty about me being the son of immigrants, about being Mexican, is you take that pride in that they raise you a certain way. And like, if your mom and dad tell you to do something, aquí nomás, right? Le das la mano a los que visitan. You speak when spoken to. No te metes con los adultos. All that, the respect factor is there. And I thank you very much, Joel, for opening up the way you did. But you're not opening up because you'll tell this to anybody. You'll tell this to the Uzbekistan guys who come into the building no matter what. And if anybody takes anything away from this today, just know that I say thank you to you, Joel, for not only just being a friend, but for, like the other day, I did a FaceTime with my daughter, and you jumped in there and said, you have a home if you need it. You don't have to do that, but you mean that. Why is it so important for you to just know that people are there with you?
Beto, you know, the thing is this. A lot of people don't understand that everybody works really hard. And there was a time when my brother Julio would come to the gym and he would see how people would come in and not say take advantage because we're not kids, but people would feed off of us in a lot of ways and then they would leave. And then my brother Julio would tell me, what it is that you guys are so dumb. You guys open your doors to anybody. And I would tell them, you know what? It's not that we're dumb. It's just that we were raised differently. I remember my mom and my dad. They've always taught us to always respect everybody, don't discriminate everybody due to race or any other way. I mean, we treat people equally. I mean, we were raised by a good family. We come from a good family that raised us properly, and honestly, what I do, I always do it from the heart. I open my doors to a lot of people. If they come in and they take advantage of what of me or whatever, I mean, it's fine. I've always said, anybody wants to learn from me, they can come. I'll teach them. Honestly, I have forgotten more than they will ever learn.
Joel Diaz. We're doing this next week, Coach. We are doing this next week because we got to charge the AirPods.
Whatever you need, you let me know. Hold on. Give me 1 second, okay?
All right, go for it. Go for it. Joel Diaz, he's walking around. What are you going to do? Show me the dog or the snake? Or you show the kids?
Because my AirPods, I think.
Yeah, they died.
Celeste's AirPods run out of battery.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting to do like half an hour with you, not an hour 35.
No.
And Jose Gramajo. All right, real quick, Coach. This guy Jose Gramajo keeps writing over and over. Why did Victor Ortiz leave you?
Victor Ortiz?
Real quick.
You know what? Victor Ortiz.
There you go, Jose Gramajo. Thanks for following the whole time.
When Victor Ortiz came to me, it was a funny story with Victor Ortiz. We have the time to talk.
Yeah. My bad. My computer's charged. Why not?
Victor Ortiz came to me. Before he came to me one day, I get a call from Haas. Okay?
I love
Coach
Haas.
And Coach Haas tells me, hey, you know what? Victor's looking for a trainer. Would you be interested? I said, sure, bring him down. He goes, no. Can you come to Ventura? He's auditioning trainers. I go, you know what? I'm at this point in my career.
Auditioning trainers?
Yes.
Chingazo.
He said, I said, you know what, Haas, I'm not at that position right now. I got a camp. I got fighters. So I said, okay. So when he came to me, I said, okay, no problem, it's fine. And we trained together, got him to 1 fight, 2 fights. And then he says, oh, you know what, there's nothing here in Indio for me. I got to go. My friends are over there in Ventura. There's nothing here in Indio.
There's stagecoach?
Oh, yeah, but it's only in April. So
I'm a little buzzed now, Coach. I'm popping off.
That's fine. Hey, my son just came right now and he gave me a sign. He wanted this. He goes,
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna bring Junior? Bring me a beer. Hey, Chavez Jr, Coach. I'm starting to pop off. I feel like Mr. Boxing Guru. I'm being a smartass here, so hold on. I need the shot.
You know what, Beto? When he left, I still talk to him.
Good guy, real good guy.
Beautiful guy, beautiful kid. After he left here, I told him, fine. The night before he fought Andre Berto, I called him and I told him, hey. And I told him straight out, I go, you know what, Victor? Oh, it was Celeste. Hey,
Celeste! MVP!
Look, the night before the fight with Andre Berto, I told him, I called him up and I go, hey, Victor.
But you weren't training him, right?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Just make sure.
Victor, I go, this fight, I want you to get in there and take it to him. Don't give him the distance. He goes, okay, Coach. I go, look, don't go in there trying to please anybody. I want you to go in that fight and do what Soto Caraz and Robert Guerrero did. Have no respect for him. If you give Andre Ward the distance, you're giving him the edge. So as soon as the bell rings, take it to him. All right, Coach, I'll do that. And the fight started, and I watched him. And when he dropped Berto, and Berto got up, I saw Berto. He was trying to throw that uppercut. And I go, man, he's gonna land that uppercut because he tried it, and he was like just timing it right. And I go, oh man, it's not looking good. I mean, it was not a good picture that night. But I mean, I can tell you one thing. I mean, if I would have been in that corner that night, that kid wouldn't have lost that fight. I swear to you, because I knew what I had to do when I pushed his buttons.
Yeah.
He fought two fights under my guidance, and I remember the last fight he fought in Texas. He was going the distance with a guy that had no business with him in there, and before he stopped the kid
Wait, in Texas?
Yeah,
Who?
San Antonio.
Against who?
He fought Julio Sanchez Leon.
Oh my goodness. He went the distance with that guy?
No, he didn't. He was going to, and he got to a point. I think it was the sixth round when I told him, "Hey, Victor, this guy has no business with you in this ring." I go, "You better get in there and get rid of him, because if he goes the distance, I mean, you're gonna devalue yourself." So I push his buttons, he goes in, and he knocks him out.
Okay.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. You gotta know how to guide your fighters. I've had fighters where they're moving along and it looks like it's gonna go the distance. I mean, the outcomes of the fights is the value of the person. I mean, if you knock the guy out in the early rounds, like Vergil Ortiz has
Monster.
been, I mean, right there. You're a class A.
Hey, coach, how do you motivate a fighter? And I'm not picking on Victor Ortiz here. I like him, the person. But how do you motivate a fighter who has talent but doesn't take it out of third gear?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you how I do it. Through the whole camp, I put my dots together. I notice what makes him weak and what makes him strong. I notice what he does right and what he does wrong. And the day he messes up, I always save it in my mind, and I'll bring it up to him in the fight. Like, there's fighters that they don't come to training like certain days, and because they're not feeling well, and I go, okay. And the day of the fight, I'll bring it up to him. I go, hey, remember those days you didn't come to the gym? Those days you needed those days, because right now you're not giving me what I'm expecting.
Because guys never show up the day they're running sand dunes.
Yeah, there's some that don't. Yeah, there's some that throw up. Everybody throws up when they come to camp and do the sand hills. But like I said, I pick up things along the camps, and I save them to bring it up the day of the fight. There was a guy, I'm gonna tell you, when there was this guy, I used to have a kid that was 19 and 12. 19 and 12, fought a guy, Alejandro El Alacran. The Top Rank used to have him. Alejandro Perez, I think. What was it? Alejandro Perez?
Coach, why are you training somebody who's 19 and 12? Come on.
Because I'm a good guy. This guy used to be my brother Julio's sparring partner.
Oh, okay.
And one day he calls me and he tells me, hey, I want to go train with you. I go, well, come over. And he comes, and not only he comes by himself, he brings his wife and two kids. And I go, shit. So then, at that moment,
Ruben Gonzalez says, good thing none of you guys are driving. Salud. Yeah, maldita pobreza, yeah. Ruben Gonzalez.
Yeah, Ruben. Hello, Ruben. So he comes with his wife and two kids, and I loaned him one of my houses. He stayed there and took care of him. When he fought Alejandro Perez, he was an opponent. And I remember it was a week before that Bradley Marquez fight at Top Rank. We went to Vegas. I sent the kid with my brother for weigh-ins. I drove the day of the fight, and I remember I saw Brad Goodman in the dressing room, and he goes, "Who are you here for?" I go, "I'm right here with Martinez." He goes, "Oh, the guy fighting Alejandro, yeah." He goes, "Oh, yeah. Alejandro's fighting for a world title in Macau on Pacquiao's Brandon Rios." I go, "He's not." I go, "What do you mean?" I go, "He's not." I go, "Don't tell me that." I go, "I'm telling you. He's not." So I studied the fight. We ended up beating Alejandro that night.
That kid, yeah. I remember that fight. Okay.
So I remember Brad Goodman telling everybody, "Hey, Diaz is here. What is he doing?" "Oh, he's with Perez." He's like, Isn't he supposed to be with Bradley? He fights next week with Marquez. I don't know. He's here with somebody. And when we walk in the ring, I'm telling the kid in the corner, I go, "Look, your wife is here. Your kids are here. Don't you want to buy a house for your wife?" "Yes." "Okay, let's do it. Let's get this guy." And he won the fight.
Oh,
Yeah.
he won the fight. That's part of the motive. That's the beauty of you, coach, because there are some trainers who, once they get to a certain level, it's like, hey, you know what? I can't work with the kid who's 2-0. I can't work with somebody who's 3-0. But it's that maldita pobreza. You still have that attitude and the mindset. Go ahead, open up your beer and your shot. Of that kid who's pues, I still say, cheers, cerveza. That kid who's 2-0, like say a Sal Sanchez, might become somebody because it's easy to come in and parachute when they're ready for the pay-per-view or the DAZN cards. But when you're developing them young guys, I think if you were, like, to put in baseball terms, you're that old coach who I want to help them out when they're in the minor leagues developing, and I want to see them succeed. Because I think you take more pride in developing somebody than you do taking somebody who's already won 3-4 world titles.
I do. And you know what? Every time I win a fight, when I'm the underdog,
here's a shot.
I take a bet. I take more appreciation in a fight like that. Because you know what? I have a lot of fighters that are I have a lot of fighters that are elite fighters that I know that the chances of winning are higher. And I know that walking into that ring, I know that more likely I'm going to win the fight. But when I have a fighter that is considered an underdog and I'm supposed to lose and I win, I mean, I enjoy that victory more, honestly.
You know what? You have Lucas Matisse. Ready? Cool. He's developed. He's been there. He's great. Awesome human being. The Ace of SoCal tried to buy him beer and shots at the lobby bar in Vegas, but Lucas like, déjame, boludo, déjame. But it's also something to your credit because you're a teacher. You're a coach. That's why everybody calls you coach. The Spanish kids, the Argentinians, the Chileans, the Mexicans, el profe. I know you love hearing when they call you profe, right?
Well, you know, everybody, you know, some call me maestro, some call me profe, some call me coach, and some call me just Joel, you know. And, you know, I adapt to everybody because it's everybody's character. You know, whatever they call me, they really mean it. You know, they're really good people. Lucas Matisse, a very sincere kid. Everything he says from the heart.
Super
you know,
nice.
Marcelino Lopez, you know, great kid. Everybody, you know, I like that respect that when I have a kid in my camp and he's humble and he's grateful, I open my doors and he becomes part of my family, you know. And if not, you know, they don't belong here because everything in my camp has to be positive. Everything in my camp has to roll smooth. In a camp house, I want to have a team that gets along together and helps each other. I don't want to have a team of people backstabbing each other or talking bad or generating bad blood. You know, I don't like that.
Coach,
I like it.
I'm gonna tell a story here. I think last year maybe we were at Fancy Springs. The second fight of the night.
Okay.
You have a kid that had been in your camp who has an ugly record. He's from Phoenix, Arizona. I don't even know his name. But last minute they told me, Beto, you're going to do the play-by-play for this fight because we're going to add it to the Facebook feed. I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay.
I don't know who these guys are. He's fighting a kid out of Westside Boxing. And this kid is from Arizona. And I think he had like 3-4 losses, something like that. And I asked you, Coach, what do you know about this kid? And you said, Beto, he's going to win. I'm like, why? He goes, because he's in there fucking up everybody in my camp as a sparring partner. This kid who is undefeated from Westside Boxing, I think it might have been Nick Arce or something like that.
Yeah, it was Nick Arce, yeah.
Okay, but you told me, and I'm like, Coach, this guy's got like 4 or 5 losses, and I've never heard of him. His other 8 fights have been in Mexico at the Rancho Grande bar, and you're like, Beto, he's gonna win. He's gonna win. And you said he's gonna win. He's gonna stop him. You had more detail and intel on the second fight of the night with 30 people in the building, and it was the same amount of preparation, attitude as if it was the main event at the MGM or T-Mobile. Why?
Why? Because I knew the kid. The kid used to come to my gym and train.
Aguinaga. There you go. Aguinaga.
Aguinaga. Yeah, Jesus Aguinaga. Jesus Aguinaga was a kid that grew up here in the Indio. Most of his family are from Indio. His uncle would always tell me, "Hey, you know what? I want to bring my nephew to come and train with you." And he will come and train in my gym, and he will spar in my gym. He will spar some of my fighters. And I knew Nick Arce, honestly. Nick Arce, great kid, but the only reason why he was in those cards was because he was a ticket seller. I mean, there was times in which he fought at the Velasco Theater, and they had to sell extra tickets,
Yeah.
because he was a ticket seller. And when he fought at Fantasy Springs against Nick Arce, I was there at the weigh-ins, and I told him, Aguinaga, I said, "Hey, you ready for this one?" He goes, "Of course." He goes, "Coach, you know me. I have no respect for this guy."
Oh,
And I knew Nick Arce. Nick Arce
nice
was
kid.
a nice kid, but very limited with ability of boxing.
Yes.
I mean, most of his opposition was low level
Yeah.
opposition.
And to put it out there right now, he hasn't fought since.
Exactly. So I knew, and that's why I told you guys. I told you guys from the beginning. I said, you know what, this is gonna be something that you guys are not gonna believe me, but Aguinaga is gonna beat Arce that night, and he did. Because the reason why, because Aguinaga would come to my gym, he would train with my fighters, he would spar with some of my fighters, and I knew the potential. One thing with that kid, he has heart.
Yeah.
He has heart, and he doesn't give up. The opposition he fought, it was the opposition that he was always being used as an opponent. But going against Nick Arce, it was going to be different, a totally different stuff.
Now, Coach, there's also a kid that you have in your camp. I mean, I don't know if he's even in your camp, but El Chapo. I don't even know the kid's name. All I know is that he has nothing left on his body that he can tattoo. But he fought Blair the Flair Cobbs and another kid where you told me, this kid is going to go out there. Not to get into that fight, but he ended up getting stopped by Blair Cobbs, who's a great kid, back and forth. And Blair actually remember telling you, coming up to you and say, "Coach, I want to come spar some of your guys because I need that kind of attitude around me." But, Coach, why do you take on these kids that have no support, no home, nobody supporting them, nobody caring about them? Because a lot of trainers would be like, you know what? If you don't have 1 million followers, if you don't have this, if you don't have that, you're taking on the maldita pobreza kids. Why?
Beto, I'm not into that. I'm not into who has more followers and who doesn't. We got to treat every human being as a human being. And I am a trainer that believe that every man deserves an opportunity, deserves a chance. Chapo is a kid that grew up here in the worst environment of the valley, Coachella Valley. I mean, his life is a story to write a book and a movie.
I don't want to. That's a movie that's going to get shut down.
Exactly. And Chapo, Steven Villalobos is a kid
that's his name. Okay.
Steven Villalobos is a kid that grew up here in Coachella. His whole family basically had a lifestyle of living in and out of jail. Okay. The kid decided to change his life. He went to Seattle and worked, opened up his own gym, started boxing because he loved the sport of boxing. He did not want to be like the rest of his family, his uncles, his cousins, brothers, whatever, the majority of them are either dead or in jail. I know this guy for many, many years.
Wow.
He used to follow my brother Antonio, me. He knows our life because he followed us as a kid. And, he moved to Seattle to stay away from all this stuff here in the Coachella Valley. He opened up a gym. He has a gym of his own in Seattle, Washington. So he was jumping from gym to gym. He went to Robert Garcia's gym and get some sparring. He would go to gym in Arizona and get some sparring. LA, get some sparring. He was always in the gyms. So
because until people don't know, this kid is covered up from fingertip to fingertip everywhere. I mean, I don't know much of his story, but I know he spent some time. He's got jailhouse tattoos. Like everything about him is tattooed.
And you know what? That kid has not spent time in jail.
Oh, he hasn't.
He
Oh, okay.
no.
Oh,
He's just
sorry about that.
every tattoo in his body is a story. He has a tattoo of Oscar de la Hoya, Julio Cesar Chavez, if I'm not mistaken, Marco Antonio Barrera. His favorite Mexican fighters are tattooed on his body.
Wow.
Obviously, he has a tattoo of Chapo Guzman, Pablo Escobar. I mean, his personal
Yeah.
life, and every tattoo on his body has a story. But when he came to me, he never had a trainer. Never, never had a trainer. And back in Seattle, he would literally get an opponent. He will pay his own opponent, and he will fight. And he built his own record. When he came to me and says, "I want to train with you. I've always been a big fan. I follow you, Antonio. Okay, I remember you." We started training him. And when that fight with Blair Cobbs was offered to us, I
Yeah.
took it because I knew we could beat Blair Cobbs.
Wow.
But I knew
Blair's a good kid.
we could beat Blair is a great kid, but I knew we could beat him. And going into that fight, the first 2 weeks everything was great. 2 weeks later, um, Steven Villalobos is telling me, "Coach, I have a problem and I can't sleep at night." Why? I don't know, Coach. I've always had the problem. Uh, I try to go to sleep and I'll be falling asleep at 2, 3 in the morning, sometimes 4. So then he wasn't participating in the conditioning runs in the morning. That fight with Blair Cobbs, it was only lacking conditioning. He got tired.
Yeah.
If he would,
And he dropped him.
he dropped him in the 6th round. But then after that, he got tired. Why? We did the boxing. The boxing was great,
Yeah.
but he didn't come into the conditioning trainer, the runs in the morning. He didn't participate in the running, conditioning, and all that stuff. He was only doing boxing with us. So
Ah.
what he lacked for that fight, in order for him to execute the fight and win the fight, was the conditioning. If he would have done that from the beginning, he would have beat Blair Cobbs that night. Because when he dropped him, and then plus Antonio was there that night. I wasn't there with him that night.
Oh.
I told Antonio, hey, I want you to do this. Antonio did a great job, but like Antonio says, he got tired. And why? Because he didn't follow up on the conditioning and running in the morning, because he was staying up late at night because he couldn't sleep.
Coach, as Mr. Boxing Guru says, I'm stereotyping Villalobos. In our fighter notes, we had that Villalobos had been detained by the police department,
Yeah.
which it was told through that. But, he was also, I remember he coming in, and he had a great story, Villalobos. He's a great kid, somebody you want to see fight again. Now, here's a question that's coming up for you. What do you think of Chavez Jr.?
What do you mean? In what aspect? Right now or before?
Let's see. What was that question that it came up? Is what do you think of Chavez Jr.? Because if you follow him on social media, I don't. Está loco el güey. But like,
let me tell you guys something. I follow Chavez Jr. on Instagram.
You do?
And I do. At first, you know what? I'm gonna tell you guys one thing about Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr. Is a great example of a son of a legend that shouldn't be in the sport. Because
Wow.
I've always said it. That's the reason why my son does not box. My son Junior started boxing when he was born. I can tell you this because his mom had a punching bag in the crib with gloves. I swear to God, I have pictures. Look, my son Joel Jr. When he was born, I was traveling back and forth with Julio Diaz and Antonio to fights. Okay, and all he knew was boxing. Babysitters didn't want to babysit him because he would punch kids because he thought he was playing. My son grew up thinking the boxing was playing. So he grew up boxing. When he was 1 year old, my wife put hand wraps on him and started teaching him how to hit. Yeah, 1 year old.
Your wife did. She's the nicest woman I've met.
Yeah, but my wife started teaching my son how to punch and hold it. So
You did it. Your wife did.
I remember. I ran into pictures recently. When he was 3 years old, he participated in an exhibition show. 3 years old. So, but you know what? It's like this. My son, thank God to my job and thank God to the effort that I put into the sport of boxing. He doesn't need to box. I think boxing is a poor man's sport. Uh, and going back to Chavez Jr., Chavez Jr. Is a kid that has everything he wants. He's always had everything due to his father. Uh, it gets to a point where things get really tough, and then it's like, I don't need this. Marvin Hagler once said, when you wake up in the morning in your underwears, that means you have to go to work. You have to go to
Yeah.
work. But if you wake up
It's
with,
hard to run in
with
silk sheets.
it's hard to run with a silk robe, right?
Yeah.
And that's what
That's why I
Marvin
don't run
Hagler said.
anymore. That's why I don't run because I got silk, baby.
See, I still don't
Buddha
have silk.
Versace.
That's why I don't have silk. I still run. You know, maldita pobreza. But it's like this. My son, my son. I mean, thank God
Great
that
kid. Great kid.
he doesn't need to box because he has what he wants. Chavez Jr. At one point, his dad gave him everything he wanted, and he don't need to box.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where he shouldn't have done it. And right now, I think Chavez Jr. he's just doing what he's doing on social media just to create attention. He's not a bad kid. He's a good guy. I like Chavez Jr. He has fun with social media, and
Yeah.
a lot of people
He's doing
say,
it for attention. He's doing it for
Yeah.
attention. Which
Yeah,
is what
exactly.
social media is. Everybody,
Exactly.
if you're out,
Don't-
you're doing it for attention.
Don't judge Chavez Jr. for what he does. He's just having fun. He's just enjoying his life.
Hey, who hasn't had cereal in their chonies?
Exactly. Chavez Jr. I even watch his stories because I get to a point where they're cool, they're fun.
Coach, I don't
he's
follow
being
him.
himself.
Coach, I don't follow him, but I watch the stories.
Yeah.
Because I want to put my hair all platinum blonde, all ready to go.
Oh, and what he does is like he's free. He feels free to put whatever he wants, and it's cool. You gotta be free. You gotta let that kid in you. And let people know what you feel. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, one more shot, and then we'll get out of here, Coach. It's been 2 hours, and
We could be here all night. Beto.
we could be. We're gonna do that. Coach. While we're under the quarantine, and while I'm all of a sudden Mexican with my sombrero, I'm gonna be all racist about it.
Okay.
Let's do this every week. Why not?
Hey, count me in.
All right.
I'm down.
Jueves con Joel. Hey. See, then you gotta go and get the 10 X's.
No. Eso la compré en el Summit. Me costó $5.
Yeah, okay. Coachella
I'm
has.
telling you. No. Seriously. I don't buy expensive hats. You know what? The only expensive hat I bought was for my daughter's quinceañera. And I've never used it again.
Okay, well I got a hat. And I'm gonna put on a glove right now. Poodle Team Everlast. What up, Ernie? How you doing?
Oh, what's up, Ernie?
There you go. Here we go. Un shot, Coach.
Vámonos.
We're gonna do it every Thursday. Jueves con Joel. Salud, amigos.
Let's talk boxing, whatever you want, man. Hey, I'm glad. You know what? I actually feel privileged, and I thank you so much, and I appreciate what you did because,
Hold on, let me get a single shot on you. Yes, I come
Hey.
one party.
hey, like you said, I'm your guinea pig. I like it because when you go back years from now, you're gonna say, Coach Joel Diaz was the first guy I got in the show.
Well, here's the thing, though. We went live and about 2 hours ago, and then Steve Kim, he likes you a lot. Your best friend, Steve Kim from ESPN.
Good guy, man.
He said Marvin Hagler and Leonard was in 85. Doug Fisher, the editor of Ring Magazine, is also checking in. He said, I'm loving it so far. They're like an hour behind us. Wait till they get to this part. My goodness. El Big Rojo. Hey, mande un saludo a mi amigo Rojo.
Saludos a Rojo. Hey,
Hey,
gracias por estar ahí.
Coach, he is 41. He just had his first kid. He had twins at 41.
Wow, congratulations, Rojo. Hey.
No,
That's
don't
a
say
blessing,
that. Don't say that.
That's a blessing. No, hey, that's a blessing, bro. Hey, let me tell you a story about Steve Kim.
Okay, yeah.
Steve Kim called me and says, "Hey, Joel, can I go with you guys to Dallas? Jesse Vargas and
That's
Mike."
right. Yeah.
I said, "Sure." He goes, "Hey, can I be with you guys? I want to write a story on Israel Madrimov." I said, "Sure, no problem." And we were out there. He landed over there on Wednesday. We were there every day. He was with us. We went to lunch together. He wrote stories. He asked me. He was writing every day, weigh-ins, press conference, whatever. Okay. One night after the weigh-ins, we're walking outside the stadium, And the strength and conditioning coach for my dream of, he's one of those guys that he stays fit. He's always training. He's always training. He's always working out, and he has a lot of pride. He don't like nobody beating him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Alec, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a very athletic kid. You know, he trains every day. He runs, and one day we're walking outside the stadium at the Dallas Stadium. You know, there's a football field outside.
Yeah.
And then that kid, his name is Ben. And he has sandals, and he's a little cocky. I'm gonna tell you. So I tell him, hey Ben, you think you can beat Alec on a race? Before I even ask the question, he says, "Oh, easy, dude, easy. I'll beat him easy." He goes, "I'll even give him a head start." I go, "Really?" So I tell Alec, "Hey, Alec, he says he could beat you, and he'll give you a head start." He goes, "I don't know." So, well, long story short, they raced on the football field, and Alec beats him.
Oh.
Whoa! And he got mad. He was really mad. Like, he was furious. And I said, "Hey, he beat you." And then Alec was doing cartwheels and rolling, like celebrating, right? So he was more mad. He goes, "Let's do it again. Let's do it again." So Alec is like, "I could if I want to. If I don't want to, I don't have to." So they did it again. On the second race, Beto, they ended up like really close, only by the shoulder. And to me, it was a win because this guy is very athletic. He's a conditioning coach, and he's really cocky, and he never loses and whatever. So guess what? Last week, there was a big article on ESPN talking about the story of Israel Madrimov in Dallas. And he writes down like, "Oh, Ben Hernandez and Alec, they race, and Alec beats him, and Ben," he put it down on the story. and then these guys are like, "Oh shit." Steve Kim put everything down.
Yeah. He followed you around.
That's what he gets for being cocky. I don't
care. And that's pretty cool. That if you guys have a chance, go and check out Steve Kim's story that he did on ESPN, where he followed Joel Diaz around. And one of the cool things that he did was the videos where he showed your vest, coach, the vest of how when you're a cut man, what you're doing and everything that you have going on. So go and check that out. That's all on ESPN.com. And all of a sudden, coach, last one. This comes from Mr. Boxing Guru. Okay. Super Bowl weekend, you had Joel Diaz as the trainer, Tonyo in the corner, Jojo Diaz, no relation, and his amazing hair, and I'm not even know how to say his name, but Kaka. You had 3 guys win on Super Bowl weekend. How was that night?
It was a great night.
I love your helmet.
It was a great night, Beto, because after 2 attempts for a world title for Jojo Diaz, and it was his 3rd. And honestly, you know what? Like I told you earlier, it is great to get a victory when you are the underdog.
Yeah.
I had people call me before the fight and tell me, "Hey, coach, there's this guy betting $30,000 that Jojo's gonna lose."
No way.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, there was a guy that was calling me and telling me, "Hey, coach, you know anybody that wants to bet? This guy's betting $30,000 on Tevin Farmer." I said, "You know what? I don't bet on my fighters. You know what? I'm just gonna do my job, but good luck." Going in the fight with Morjan Akhmadaliev, beating Roman for the unified championship of the world is like going to Miami and bringing back 3 titles. To me, obviously, it's a great accomplishment, because bringing 3 titles in one night, I mean, you hardly see it. Obviously, Morjan Akhmadaliev, with only, I think it was 7 fights, he is the unified champion, IBF, WBA champion. It's and then Jojo Diaz beating Tevin Farmer for the IBF. I mean, that's a great accomplishment, Beto.
You know what, Coach? When I think about guys that are trained by you and do what you do, there's few people that know what they can do. There are few people that can believe in you. And that's why the Maldita Pobreza shirt behind me.
Yeah.
You know, they don't make them anymore.
Only a few people have them. And my wife told me the other day, she goes, "Are you going to make any more of those?" I said, "I want to, but the ones that have it are limited."
Yeah. And I don't even know how I got this.
Because you're my friend.
Mi amigo, no problem. Make sure you guys, I'll put that up tomorrow. I don't even know how this goes. ¿Sabes qué? So Thursdays, Coach, you want to do this on Thursdays?
Let's do it, bro.
I mean, we're going to be at home for a while, so...
Let's do it. Hey, whatever you want, Beto. You know what, right now? Honestly, I can tell you one thing. Quarantine, this coronavirus, obviously is affecting a lot of us, affecting a lot of people.
Yeah.
I want to give thanks to all those who are helping out the world, all the people in the medical business. Much respect, much love. God bless them all. I want to thank everybody. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there in the world that are helping us, maintain this coronavirus, and guiding us. I mean, protect yourselves, respect people. If we can all make an effort,
just stay home
and stay home and cooperate, we can beat this. It's just we just need to follow the guidelines. That's all it is. Honestly, there's a lot of people out there in the world that are fighting the way the fighters do in the entertainment business. In the medical business, there's people I see every day. There's people that are out there volunteering to help people. I mean, and I'm telling you right now, I know the other day, it really bothers me when, they people call me, I'm really not good with social media, honestly.
Wait. Who does it then? Who does your account?
I do it, but because people tell me to. I was told to do a video and put it on social media.
You're good at it.
Okay, but I really, if nobody tells me, I won't do it. They tell me, "Hey, Coach, can you do a video and put it on social media on what's going on right now?" So I did. And there's this one person that tells me, "Yeah, Coach, much respect to you and everybody, but you know what? A lot of people, nowadays, a lot of the fans are paying for fighters to get rich. They become millionaires and they're not helping." He says, "The only person that I respect in the boxing world is Manny Pacquiao because he's always helping people up to this day." I said, "Let me tell you something. I'm the type of person that I was raised properly, and I help a lot of people, but I never like to. I don't because it's like, damn you do, damn you don't. But
okay.
I mean, look, I always help people on a daily basis, but I don't like to show people that I help people because that makes me look bad.
Yeah. That's something that Mr. Boxing Guru always says. It's like, if you're going to help somebody out, you don't have to post it on social media.
Exactly. I do that every day, but I don't do it because I feel like I'm showing off what I do, and I don't like that. It bothers me, honestly.
Exactly.
But the thing is this, I want to help more people. I want to be able to get on my car and help people. Whoever needs help, whoever's watching right now, if they need my help, I'll be more than happy to help.
And you're sincere about that. You're very sincere about that.
In this situation, we're supposed to be united and help each other because we need to. Let's help the elderly, the people that can't go to the supermarket, the people that can't get what the essentials they need. And I'm here. I wish somebody would call me and tell me, "Hey, Coach, can you help?" I'll be more than willing to.
Yeah.
I'm just a phone call away.
Hasta unos frijoles. Let's go.
Whatever it is, but I'm more than happy to help because, I want to help people, but at the same time, if I help somebody, I'm not going to be posting it. I never will. I will never post anything. I will never show the world what I'm doing when it comes to helping because what I do it from the heart. I don't want to show off to the world and tell them, "Oh, I'm doing this." I'm not like that. Honestly, I'm not.
You don't have 4 people on your video cameras following you around to make sure that everything's going on.
No,
everything's done. As here's how. All right, here's a joke from Toño and Joel Jr. Here's how Coach Joel Diaz does his Instagram. He's at the gym and he does it like this. Here, with a little single shot. He'll stand there and he's like.
Yeah, maybe, because You know what? I'm not really good. I'm not really good at that stuff. Honestly,
Nah,
sometimes
coach, here's the best part about it. You are good because you're genuine. And that's the
you
thing.
know.
It's you're genuine, and that's why people are resonating with you. There's a reason we've been talking for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Chingasu. And
Beto,
coach,
Beto,
one more shot. One more shot.
Let's do it. Hey, Beto, when it comes to social media and gadgets, phones and stuff, I always ask Antonio or my son because
Tonyo, he's a 49er fan. What does he know?
Yeah, but Antonio spends out of 24 hours, he spends 22 hours on his phone, and the other hour he sleeps. Antonio, honestly, I've never seen anybody spend more time on the phone than Antonio. Honestly, Antonio, if Antonio gets a new phone, he'll be up 24 hours and he'll know everything about the phone.
Hey, coach,
and I don't.
Okay, Antonio is your brother. Now,
yes, I love him.
You love all your brother. Now, let me ask this: you fought for a world title.
Yes.
And you had the IBF title.
IBF.
Your brother Antonio.
Antonio, he fought for the IBA. He won the IBA, and then he fought Shane Mosley.
At Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
And then your brother Joel.
Julio,
I'm sorry, Julio. I'm fucking loaded now.
Julio fought twice for the IBF.
Yeah.
Julio was a 2-time IBF champion.
He was so good, man. Too. He was so good. One of the third fight I ever did, and I'm gonna say this right now. Pour your shot, coach, before so we can leave. Si no, va a venir mi mamá de Zacatecas, me va a regañar. And
no le hace.
No, she's like 5'2" and 78, and I'm scared. So.
Oh no. Yeah. Size don't matter. She'll beat you up.
Yeah, easy. So the third fight I ever did as a boxing play-by-play guy, Joel Diaz against Keith. Fucking A. Hold on.
Julio Diaz.
Yeah. Shit.
Julio Diaz, Keith Thurman.
Yeah, I got the. Hold on, coach. Un momento.
Are you okay, Beto?
Here it is, coach.
Yep, Julio Diaz, Keith Thurman.
Julio Diaz against Keith Thurman was the third ever fight that I ever did. Scared out of my mind. They went at it, bro. They went at it. And I remember looking in your corner, because in the international broadcast, you guys are right there, and I'm looking, and that was the first time I ever met you. I turned to you, and you said, "Fuck." Wait, who's giving you a shot right now, Celeste or Junior?
Hey, Junior, give me a shot.
Junior, let's go. Ace of SoCal says, ya no le den. We're going to finish it up right now. One more shot, y ya se acabó. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm going to post this tomorrow. I'm going to go to sleep right now. I'm going to go watch
Beto, I'm going to tell you a quick story on that fight, okay? Hey, and because the reason why I'm going to tell you a quick story on the fight was because and you've been there. Watch.
Yeah, no, because after that fight, I had to jump on a plane to go to Puerto Rico because we had a Monday night fight on Fox Sports. So
okay, look, Beto, watch. Roberto Diaz, one of my good friends for many, many years. Okay, I know I got a bunch of those too. I have a whole box full of those. Roberto Diaz, I told Roberto, my brother Julio's retired. Help me out. Whatever you need him for fights, let me know. So Roberto Diaz called me one day. Hey, your brother Julio will fight Sean Porter. Yeah, we'll fight him. And we fought him in LA when John Molina, was it Molina? One of the Molina brothers fought Amir Khan.
Oh, at the sports arena.
Yeah, exactly.
Carlos Molina, the oldest
Carlos
brother.
Molina, yeah. Okay, so Julio,
that was the night Jojo Diaz made his debut.
Okay.
On CBS.
Julio, my brother Julio was already on retire mode. So Julio beats Sean Porter. And they give it a draw. Okay, well, whatever. Okay.
Oh, that fight. Yeah. That was a tough-ass fight.
Okay. Julio beats Sean Porter, and they give it a draw. So then, later on, we go back again, and then they go for the rematch, and that was on the card on a day before Canelo Alvarez in Vegas. So Julio fight. That's when when Diego de la Hoya debuts. So right there, Julio loses to Sean Porter. Okay, whatever. So then after that, we fought Amir Khan in England because Roberto Diaz always helped me. Roberto Diaz is one of the guys that, besides being a great friend, he
Great
always
guy.
helped me out.
Great guy. You chill
So
out of time.
Roberto Diaz, he got me the fight. He goes, "Hey, would you fight Amir Khan in England?" Sure, let's go. Okay, so we went to England and we fight. After that, Julio goes, "I'm done. I'm retired." One weekend, we're at the Pajarete. At the Pajarete. Watch, check it out. You're gonna laugh. So Julio has a few Pajaretes. Julio was already drunk, and then Roberto
He's
Diaz.
like me right now.
No, he was worse. And Julio, Roberto Diaz calls me that morning when I was at the Pajarete, and he tells me, "Hey, Joel, hey, I have a fight for you guys." Sure. He goes, "You think Julio would fight Keith Thurman?" I go, "Let me ask him." So I told Julio, "Hey, Julio, Robert Diaz wants to talk to you." So Julio goes, "Okay, what's up, Robert?" He goes, "Hey, would you fight Keith Thurman?" Julio goes, "Sure."
How
He
much?
goes, "I'm gonna say."
How much?
He goes, "No, Julio. This is what Julio says." He goes, uh, "Yeah, that's fine." He goes, "I'll send you the contract." And Julio told him, he goes, "Don't send me a contract." He goes, "You know what? To secure the fight, just deposit some money in my account, and that's your contract." Period,
No
right?
way.
Yeah, that's it. So the next morning, Julio calls me and he goes, "Hey, what happened, dude, yesterday?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Robert Diaz called me and he says if I fought Keith Thurman." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I think I fucked up." No, watch. And then he goes, when I got sober the next day, I feel like depressed. Oh shit, I'm fighting Keith Thurman. I go, "You did?" He goes, "But you know what, dude? It only took me 10 push-ups. I did 10 push-ups and I go, fuck it, I'll do it." Okay, so we train for Keith Thurman, Beto. We train for Keith Thurman.
Oh shit.
So that day of the fight, we go to the weekend to the fight, and we're waiting in line to check in at the hotel, and we see a guy with long hair and stuff, and he was eating chips. And I told Julio, "Hey, Julio, look, there's Keith Thurman." I go, "I know, huh?" We're being sarcastic, but it was Keith Thurman. When Julio turned around, he goes, "Hey, he's eating chips," and Julio was drained, like all skinny. So watch. So we go to the weigh-ins, and in the weigh-ins, they weigh in, and then they do a face-off, right? And Keith Thurman goes, "You better be ready." And Julio goes, "You better bring it." He goes, "I will." So then I stay for the fighter meeting and the gloves and stuff. So they went to eat, they go to the hotel. So when I go to the hotel, Beto, I go to the room, Julio's room, and Julio's like, "Hey, I think I fucked up." I go, "What happened?" I go, "What happened?" And he goes, "Hey, wait." He goes, "Hey."
At the double tree.
No, he goes, "Hey, did you see when me and Keith Thurman did the face-off?" "Yeah." He told me, "You ready?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I told him, bring it." He goes, "I fucked up, dude." He goes, "If you see him over there, tell him I was messing around." I'm telling you, those stories. Hey, Julio goes, "Hey, if you see Keith Thurman out there, tell him I was just kidding."
Oh.
Hey, he tried.
Oh,
Julio tried.
He did
Julio tried with Keith Thurman.
I
Julio tried.
think that fight. It only went like 5 rounds, I think.
Yeah, he got hit on the body.
Oh.
And hurt his rib. When Julio came to the corner, he couldn't breathe. Julio was turning blue.
Because
Keith Thurman caught him with a body shot.
Yeah, he got caught. Remember, that was when one time was really one time. And it happened right above me. I was doing the international broadcast. And I remember, Coach, it was the first time I remember thinking, fuck. Because he got hit right at the end of, I think, the 3rd round or something.
Yeah.
And it was right in front of you. And he got hit. And he's like, oh! Yeah. Right? And then the referee didn't count, but he was stepping right close.
Yeah.
And then he sat down. He said, "Fuck!"
No, when he came to the corner and the referee told me, "Is he okay?" I go, "Julio, are you okay?" He goes, like, he couldn't breathe. His lips were blue. His face was blue.
Yeah.
And hey, but you know what the thing is?
That was before I had met you. So I had a red eye to go to Puerto Rico. So I hadn't met you before. So we were in the production truck. They told us hey, if we get a knockout in the main event, good for you guys because you can make your flight out of LAX.
Yeah.
Cool. Once he said, "Fuck," I was like, I'm making my flight. That's easy, no
No,
problem.
but that wasn't the main event. The main event was Lucas Matisse and John
No,
Molina.
because no, I know it was because if we had the co-main go
Oh, okay.
fast, they would bring them faster.
All right.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
it was good. So I made my flight. We were good to go, and it was
Yeah.
fun. But I didn't know you guys at that time. But then, I'll give you credit to your brother Julio went and he fought as long as he
Oh,
could.
yeah.
Because
Oh,
Keith
yeah.
Thurman in his prime was the
Yeah.
man.
Julio was already retired. He
Yeah.
was coming back. He fought Sean Porter twice.
Yes, he
he
did.
fought Amir Khan. And, Julio was already towards the end of his career. He was just basically collecting the check. But he always tried hard.
Your coach, you say that collecting the check, but still a pro at the end.
But
of the
still,
day.
at the pro, yeah, of course.
All right.
One
more shot, coach. One more shot, and ya me voy a dormir.
Hey, Joel. Let me get it for you.
Yeah.
Joel.
Man, this
Man.
this was supposed to be 30 minutes. It went 2 hours, 25 minutes.
Give me a shot.
Thursday's going whole way. But you probably got like that fancy, like, expensive. Razo, I'm not twisted yet, bro.
Hey, is Russell still watching?
Yeah, Razo's still watching. Hey, Antonio wants to know, what did Julio tell you about stopping the fight?
No, the thing is this. The thing is, before that fight, remember I had Bradley fighting Pacquiao? And remember, this is a story. We always talk about the stories. They're funny because Antonio, I know what Antonio was trying to tell you. When
He can just text me, but he don't want to.
I know. When Bradley fought Pacquiao, and Bradley comes to the corner and tells me, "Hey, coach, I hurt my ankle." And I remember I told Bradley, you want me to stop the fight? Or you want to keep fighting? Ignore the fucking pain. Let's go. You want to go? You want to go home? We'll go home right now. I tell him that. So Julio remembers that. And before the fight with Keith Thurman, he goes, "Hey, dude, remember, when I fight Keith Thurman and he hurts me, and if I come to the corner and I'm hurt, I don't want you to fucking be over there telling me, hey, you want to go home or you want to keep fighting?" He goes, "All you have to do is tell me, hey, let's go. We'll turn on the grill at the ranch." That's what he meant. Yeah, Julio told me. Hey, Julio told me. He goes, "Hey, I don't want you to be yelling at me in the corner and telling me, you want to go home or you want to keep fighting? Ignore pain." He goes, "All you have to do is tell me, hey, you want to go to the ranch and we'll go turn on the grill."
Hey, was
Beto.
Salud. Wait, hold on. I need the shirt. Hold on. Before.
Maldita pobreza.
Maldita pobreza. Size large, not size sábana, Razo. Damn, coach, you gotta shut the hombre, bro.
A huevo, look. Hey, Joel gave me some of the 1942. I guess he likes me now.
1942.
No, hey, saludos a mi gallo Razo. I'm gonna tell you guys one thing, honestly. I mean, I don't favor anybody. I work with every promoter in the boxing world, but honestly, I have a lot of respect for every promotion in the boxing sport because they've done their work. I worked with Top Rank when Bradley was there. I had Carlos Adames, many fighters from Top Rank, PBC, Heyman. I've had Omar Figueroa and all those. But Omar Figueroa was brought to me through Robert Diaz. Robert Diaz, much respect. His family, Razo, Golden Boy. I mean, great promotion. Much respect. I respect everybody, and I'm a grateful person, and I always thank everybody that has always done great for me. When I started this as a career, as a job, as a trainer, I've always looked at how they treated me. Everybody has opened the doors to me. I have mutual respect to everybody. The Thompson Boxing Promotions was the first promotion that opened their doors to me with Tim Bradley and
Really?
Alex Camponovo, Kenny Thompson.
The nicest people, man. The nicest people.
Much respect. Kenny Thompson, Alex Camponovo. Honestly, when they opened the doors to me with them, it's been many years. Their whole crew, Janae Gonzalez, Carlos Baeza, everybody, they're great people, beautiful human beings. And I have nothing bad to say. Even Herbie Estrada, people that I remember, Willie Silva. those are the people that I grew up with when I started as a trainer, and up to this day, I still keep in touch with them, and I'm so grateful to be part of their lives and their careers.
And that's why you got Sal the Beast Sanchez, bro. Sal the Beast. Eventually, Sal's going to do an interview. All right, Coach. This was supposed to be 30 minutes. It's now been 2 hours and 30 minutes. And John Duarte says, "Yeah, pinche Netflix, ni que nada." Thursdays with Coel. You know what? I gotta end this. I'm a little buzzed now. It's been like 6 shots. I'm not a tequila shot drinker. I'll have a paloma. I have 1 shot. Ahí nomás. Me van a regañar right now. I did go outside. I had to go pee in the tree right now. So
That's fine. That's fine. Oh, hey, don't worry about it.
But here we go. Every Thursday, Coach. Let's do this. 8 o'clock.
Beto, anytime you want, man. Hey, you sabes, you know.
No, not every time because I'm gonna get drunk and me van a pegar.
Hey, you know that I'm always here for you.
Yeah,
whatever you need. It's always been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
This is fun.
Is your house,
Coach.
Thank you so much,
this was a lot of fun. This was.
Thank you. And most of all, this is what I want. If it benefits you in any way, count me in. I'm always part of your team.
No, but you know, Coach, it's not even about benefited because like I can go and do a bunch of different things.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, when you talk to somebody for 2 hours and a half,
yeah,
and it wasn't I don't even know what we talked about, but it's genuine. And uno abrazo, Coach. Like you got me speaking Spanish. This is
no.
It's a big deal. This is a big deal.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Have a good night. I want to thank everybody that's been watching. Yeah. It's been a great 2 hours and 30 minutes. Wow. Honestly, I want to say thank you to everybody and God bless everybody. Everybody stay safe. Stay home. Let's beat this coronavirus. And pretty soon we're gonna come back to things that we like to do. Let's go back to normal life. But in order for us to go back to the normal life, we need to cooperate and be a team and following, the guidelines.
And the best thing is, Coach, I'll put this up as a podcast. People can listen for 2.5 hours. We became Beto Rogan. Look, and at first you're wondering about the chancla. It's right here. I took it away from my mom. Now my mom and dad, they're 78. So
okay.
they go to sleep at 8 o'clock. Pero it's like, so I've been staying here to help them out with the coronavirus. Beto, this is that. I had to order the internet, Coach. Oh, my God. Because my mom's like, ¿para qué queremos esto? Tenemos el Telemundo. Tenemos Univision. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, Coach, thank you very much. We'll do it again next Thursday, 8 o'clock. I'll post it on the podcast. Last thing, Coach Joel Diaz, where you want to follow him. Diaz Training Camp on Instagram, right?
Diaz Training Camp, Coach Joel Diaz on Instagram. Both have 2. And you can go on El Rey News on YouTube.
El Rey. Oh, by the way. Okay, next week, can we get El Rey to film you?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that guy. That's another story for another day. Coach, gracias como siempre. Muy agradecido. You're going to have me speak Spanish. Un abrazo. Thank you very much. For Joel Diaz, I'm Beto Duran. Thank you for watching Living the Dream. Woo-hoo! We done, man. We done. Gracias, Coach.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow.